welcome back to the We Don't Know Stuff podcast.
Hey.
We're here in episode 9. Who's
Episode
number 9? Who's a good number 9?
Number 9 has been cursed forever. 'Cause you got
Number 9.
Tony Romo.
Oh, no, this is not a Tony Romo episode.
Drew Brees. Drew Brees is a great number 9.
Drew Brees is a good number 9.
He's a good number 9.
Yeah.
Who's a good number 9 in basketball, though? Nick Van Exel?
Man, Nick Van Exel. I actually posted a video on the Lakers Reddit, the Lakers Reddit page, and a bunch of people felt the same way. I felt like, hell yeah, Nick Van Exel is a killer. Like, he's dope. I mean, think about it. Like, in the 90s, like, you knew you weren't going to win a championship. Like, you knew Michael had it. Jordan had it. That was it. You knew that's who was going to get the ring. So every team still had to fill the seats. They had to put butts in the seats. They had to make them ticket sales, the memorabilia sales.
Okay.
So I think the Lakers did a great job with Nick Van Exel, Eddie Jones, Eldon Campbell, Vlade Divac.
Those are the Lakers I grew up
on. Oh,
watching.
yeah, the 90s Lakers. But they were a great consolation prize to the 90s.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They were like, that was a great hookup that we got during the era of Jordan.
Yeah, those were, I guess, the down years. You'd have to call it. Even though they weren't really down.
Yeah. No, they weren't really down. But I mean, you
weren't
weren't going to.
Low point in Laker history, I guess. Because you weren't winning titles.
I think at that time they probably were considered a low point too.
I think anytime you're not winning titles in L.A., it's considered a low point. It's a disappointing season, of course. But that's the kind of franchise you've become.
That's true.
It makes sense.
But yeah, Nick Van Exel was a killer, man. Like watching his highlights, I was just thinking, like, man, like this is like Kyrie right here. This is exactly how Kyrie looks, just cooking, crossing fools over, layups. The only difference is he's left-handed.
Right. But just fresh legs and just going out there and just balling.
Dude, he would have been a
they
star.
Were like at the park.
He would have been a superstar. Well, I don't know about superstar, but he would have been a star right now, all-star for sure. Like, he would have been, like, killing because as someone on Reddit pointed out to me that in college, he was actually he actually liked to shoot the three too much. Like deep threes, like how Steph shoots threes, deep threes or contested threes. And, he would make some, but he would miss some. Obviously, you're going to make some, miss some.
Yeah.
But at that time in the 90s, the three-pointer was considered a low percentage shot. So they didn't want players to be really taking that shot unless you were specifically and it was in the play designed for it, right? But what was kind of crazy they pointed out, I started thinking that, you know what? He really would have shined today because he would have had the green light to shoot those kind of threes. He would have been, and then he would have been able to work on that part of his game a lot more. He would have been a better.
Here's my argument against that, though. Here's my argument against just that statement of just like he would have shined today. Like, honestly, if you're an athlete, you would have shined in any era.
But he did shine.
If you're a good athlete, that's what I'm saying. So it's like he shined as far as he was going to shine.
He shined.
Whether in his time or any other time. But I get what you're saying. The NBA is more geared for a player like him now.
Right.
Of course. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
It's just like thing about KD when we talked about before.
Yeah, he would have lengthened his career here.
Well, it's just like how we talked about Durant.
In the NBA.
Before when Durant first came in the league, they were like, "Oh, he's not strong. He's too skinny. He can't. All he can do is shoot the three. Like that's not gonna work."
Yeah, we've talked.
But then the league has evolved to match that style of play, and that would have been apparently coming out of college. That was a lot more like Nick Van Exel style of play. So it'd be interesting to. I mean, that's always one of those interesting, like comparing different eras and how players would have fared. And like you said, like great players could play in every era.
No. Yeah, they're gonna shine no matter what.
Exactly. So
that's just gonna happen. That argument should have been dead a long time ago. But it's a fun argument to have. I get it because you get to pit actual things that happen against other things, and everybody's just having everybody's just having a great time imagining those things happening.
Right. And
that's what's.
And I don't think
that's what That's what keeps feeding those things, is what I mean.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. But for me, like, I think that was a great job by Jerry West to put together that team in the 90s. I thought that was a great job.
Jerry West is just a mastermind
well, of course.
a general manager. Like, go through all the teams that he's ever devised. Can you figure that out right now?
The Grit and Grind Grizzlies, right?
Of what years?
Of just recently, before they broke up.
Was Marc Gasol, fucking
Zebo, and Mike Conley.
Who were their outside wing guys? Oh, man.
Oh, Rudy Gay.
Yeah, Rudy Gay.
There's a couple, I mean, they put together that team. And, dude, he got Marc Gasol. Like,
that was
Lakers.
A good-ass team, yeah.
Lakers consider Marc Gasol a throwaway in that deal.
Oh, of course.
Marc Gasol ended up turning into, I think 2-time Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, he was already a seasoned champion in Europe.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
not a seasoned player, seasoned champion.
Right. Well, not really. Not too much.
They hadn't won a championship over there?
Mark didn't really play that much over there.
Oh, okay. But he
Powell
sat
did.
on the bench.
No, Mark came to United States when Powell first got here.
That's similar to, like, what happened.
Yeah, but Mark went to high school in the United States. He went to high school in...
oh, okay. They brought him over since then.
Well, he went to high school in Memphis. Because that's where Powell was drafted, and that's where Powell played. So he went there with Powell, and he played high school.
His local favorite went local, and then local boy.
And then instead of going to college, he went to Barca, I believe.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like, instead of going to college,
because of course they wanted him.
Right? Yeah, of course.
That was the name.
Right.
That was the name behind it.
Right.
Okay.
So, and then he got drafted by the Lakers actually.
Okay.
And the Lakers ended up trading him, a part of the Kwame Brown trade, to them for Pau Gasol. So he got traded for his brother. That's crazy. That's crazy to think about. Imagine getting traded for your sister.
That's funny. That's actually hilarious.
Like, how did I get traded? But yeah, and the thing is, when he got to Memphis, obviously he was overweight. Because it is what it is. But they got him. They got him in tip-top shape. Okay, so that's Memphis. That's what Jerry West handled of Memphis.
Okay,
next.
Memphis. Next, what other team has Jerry West created?
Think about that. He created that Lakers. He also created that Lakers Kobe Powell team by default, by being a part of the other side of that trade, by giving.
Right. Well,
Powell,
he had.
But giving Powell to the Lakers for, at the time, what sounded like just Kwame Brown. And some scrubs.
A very minor involvement.
So a big name scrub and a bunch of small name scrubs.
He had his hand in it.
Right.
It's his magic.
So he still made that happen. So I
said Jerry West magic.
I attribute those championships to him and not to Mitch Kupchak. Sorry, Mitch. But
no, that's true. Of course, I agree with that.
But he was also a member of the Warriors when they put together this team, because they were gonna they wanted to trade Clay for Kevin Love. Do you remember that? They wanted to trade Clay for Kevin Love. This is before they won, right? And Jerry West was there, and they brought him in to just be an advisor to, like, ownership and the GM, and kind of be a little bit of a liaison between the middle, and kind of give a understanding of how to build a championship team and how to make things happen. And he basically said, if you guys trade Clay, I'm gone. Mm-hmm. And so they decided to keep him. Obviously, not just because of the ultimatum, but because they know that eventually that would have been the right idea anyway.
But regardless of that's just the type of, like, probably upstairs game that already happened in the upper management or just, business management of the NBA.
Right.
In general, like some shit.
So Jerry West...
But
obviously
Jerry West
got
is
to
the guy,
keep that team, and
like,
he was
gonna choose him.
He was instrumental in KD signing there too, because when they did the pitch to KD, usually when a team comes and does their pitch to a player, it's like the GM, the owner, and the coach, and maybe like a star player on the team, right? Well, part of the Warriors' pitch was they used Jerry West as part of that pitch to go in there and tell them what it was like to win how to win championships.
Yeah, of course.
Right? and what kind of sacrifices need to be made. And I'm sure all the I'm sure you can figure it out in your head of what he said. But
no. Yeah.
But the thing is, he helped basically form what we see as probably the best NBA team ever, right? So he had his hand in that. Now he's got his hand in the Clippers. Now he's the GM over there at the Clip Show. So, and the Clippers are going to make the playoffs, 7th seed, maybe 6th seed, but they're definitely going to make the playoffs. And they don't have no All-Stars this year. And that's that. And they traded their best player, Tobias Harris, away.
Yeah.
Right? So,
but that kid, Shai Gilgeous,
he
has a lot of promise.
Yeah, of course. But I'm just saying, like, no All-Stars. Probably no All-NBA players.
No, it's a full rebuild, but it's a good one.
And they're going to the playoffs in the middle of a rebuild.
Already. Yeah,
they're going to the playoffs in the middle of a rebuild. Yeah. So that's...
Exactly.
That's really, really
that's
good.
That's what's impressive, and then that's what just makes you think, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, Jerry West.
That's what's impressive.
Jerry West.
So that's how... I mean, that's all I got to say about Jerry West.
He's an impressive
he's done it.
GM,
since trading Vlade Divac for Kobe Bryant to now to signing Shaq, right? He signed Shaq. You know what I'm saying? He got Shaq to come to LA.
That still has to be his most famous move, is the Vlade move of all time.
That, and then the Powell move for me comes second, and then probably signing Shaq.
You could do a top 5 moves by Jerry West.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
That's awesome.
But speaking of the Lakers,
what's up?
Tonight they played the Celtics, and they got smashed, of course. But I mean, Brandon Ingram's out for the year. Lonzo's out for the year. Kuzma was out with an ankle injury. He should be back in a couple games. And they are managing LeBron's minutes. So my question to you is...
Wait a minute. Lonzo's out for the fucking year, man? Yeah. Oh, my God. That means...
So, you know what's funny, though?
That's it. He has no value anymore.
The Lakers
has absolutely no value anymore.
The Lakers essentially just had LeBron and the South Bay Lakers lineup out there with them. Like, they called up like 4 dudes from the South Bay Lakers to play. So it was like LeBron and the South Bay Lakers out there playing against the Celtics.
Okay, so maybe to touch on something from last episode, I hate to do that, but like maybe both sides have decided that, and they're just like, LeBron, just go and do what you need to do right now because it's a free season. Like, let us figure this out. Just show up to the games and try to play with these guys. Try to win with these guys.
So right now where they sit, if the draft were to be held today, they sit around the 10th or the 11th
That's crazy.
spot in the draft.
That's fucking crazy.
So my question is to you, with Ingram out for the rest of the year, for Lonzo out, Ingram's out for blood clot in the shoulder. Lonzo's out for ankle sprain, crazy ankle. You didn't watch that game? Yeah, it looked pretty bad.
No, I didn't. I watched, but
it looked pretty bad.
Damn.
So Zoe and Ingram are out for the rest of the year. They already decided to start managing LeBron's minutes. Obviously, the Lakers are officially in tank mode. Do you think it's the right decision? Or should they just play their heart out and for nothing to try to make an 8th seed playoff? But they're going to get bounced.
I'm always pushing for them to fucking try to win no matter what.
Yeah, I get it.
So I don't care. I'm not a tank mode person, so I'd be the wrong guy to ask, but probably the most logical thing at this point, yeah, of course, is the tank.
But yeah, I mean, if a sub
get a nice
top
player.
10 pick, right? Somewhere in the top 10
in the lottery, yeah, a potential number 1 pick.
Right? Yeah, right. The odds are better, increased.
Right.
Yeah, so, I mean, they are officially in tank mode. Once they announced they're managing LeBron's minutes, that was it for me. That's when I knew.
Yeah.
That's when I knew it was a wrap.
That's a funny statement to make, though, huh? Like, just like, it's cool. We're checking him out of the season. Like, he probably shows up to practice, and they're like, what are you doing? Go home.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I haven't even looked at the mock drafts to see what is out there. But man, you haven't really been watching the game, so I can't even really ask you what do you think the Lakers need. But I guess I can answer the question because I've been watching the game. But Lakers need obviously 3-point shooting because that's obviously what the league is all about now.
Yeah.
And Lakers are ranked, I don't know, in the high 20s in terms of where they lay in 3-point made per team. So they're not right now. The most active 3-point shooter they have is Kyle Kuzma. So, I mean, and that's really the only
not
one
good times.
Right.
Not good times at
Right.
all.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Josh Hart went on like a dead zone slump for like the whole month of February. I don't think he made a 3-pointer the whole month.
Yeah.
Imagine going a whole month like and not being able to do something that's part of your job. Like you just can't do it.
Josh Hart, man.
Yeah, no, Josh got a lot of potential. He's actually going to be really good. It was just a tough season. And then you got to imagine February is a rough month for the Lakers anyway. They definitely couldn't maintain focus.
I guess what I mean about Josh Hart is just like it's hard to fall in love with the kid because you know he's gonna be gone so soon. He's gonna land on a team and he's gonna have a lot of potential. He's gonna be nice. It is what it is.
Yeah, he's a solid role player. I mean, and what's tight is he knows
he
that
doesn't need to
and
be
he plays
a star,
to that.
right?
Right,
Yeah,
and he knows that and he plays to that, and
he just likes going out there and playing basketball
right.
and just being part of it,
right.
being part of the strategy.
And those are the kind of guys you need if you want to build a championship team. You need a guy 100%. That's
those are the Jerry West guys.
Right. The guy that's not gonna give up. I'm gonna give you everything on every play. But
that's old school basketball, dude. All right, what else you got? What's just something random that's been
I have some psychedelic science news.
Oh shit, speaking of psychedelics, I think we should put a disclaimer out there.
Well, you can put a disclaimer if you want.
Yeah. No, before the show I've took how many grams was it?
I don't know. You waited.
I think it came out to 2.4 grams of psilocybin mushrooms.
Oh, snaps.
So we're very much on that trip right now, yeah. If you need me to explain it, it's not. The studio's kind of multicolored. It's
we have like purple LED lighting and some regular like
there's like
indoor
pink.
Lighting too.
There's a little pyramid with an eyeball.
Yeah.
Some homemade art and
some homemade art.
Yeah,
that's the
nice.
only kind of art that I fucks with is homemade art. I don't fuck with machine made art or
I love it.
Yeah,
but
okay. But anyway, we do have some
part of the mix, and all these lights are just bouncing off everything, and everything just looks really vivid and cool and colorful and sometimes toony. Not in a bad way though. Like, I mean, like very like. So don't think Mickey Mouse like fucking Popeye wild shit. More like if anybody's ever seen the Animatrix or the really good Batman, fucking the newer ones. The newer cartoons that look real, more like the really good like old anime movies. Like, have you ever seen Ghost in the Shell, the original?
No.
The cartoon?
No,
oh my god, that's a great movie. We'll have to do a top 5 anime movies at some point.
We can do that.
I'm not an anime fan.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm not an anime fan, and I still have a top 5. I think you need to just watch.
That's the thing is I need to just watch anime then to make a top 5 because honestly, like I could just say Akira, even though it really wasn't a great movie, it was just visually tight.
Right.
And that's really all I can think of.
Akira is all about like how crazy was it that they made a crazy sci-fi film a long time ago with this crazy of visuals.
Oh
like,
yeah,
this was amazing.
The technology and how they did it is nuts back then. Yeah, like. But other than that, like I can't even think of any anime that I've even watched.
Yeah, see. Like that Paprika one that I've explained in other episodes is pretty good.
Yeah, no, I never seen that shit either. But anyway, in some psychedelic science news, a study at UC Davis was published in the ACS Chemical Neuroscience Science Journal shit. And the headline is Psychedelic Microdosing in Rats shows beneficial effects. What does this mean?
Yeah, exactly. What the fuck does that mean?
So, essentially, at UC Davis, they did a study with microdosing DMT in rats. And they found that, well, what they did is they gave 1 milligram per kilogram of body weight. That's what they considered a microdose. So a milligram per kilogram of body weight.
Okay.
So I kind of did the math around 200, let's say 200 pounds, because I give or take around that range. So let's just say 200 pounds. I think it was 90 kilograms. So that would make 90 milligrams.
Okay.
So that's not even a 0.1. That's a 0.09 on the scale.
Okay. Yeah.
On your gram scale.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I got you. That's
typically
fucking crazy though.
But that is DMT though.
Okay.
So I don't know how strong a microdose of DMT at that level is because I've never taken DMT. But I mean, besides at night when I sleep, you know what I mean? That's the only other time that, and when I have dreams and shit, that's the only time that I've had DMT, right? When my body naturally produces it, not when I've never ingested it. I've only just let my body naturally produce it.
Right.
But, so they got this DMT and they decided to give it to these mice. And so what they did is when they gave them the 1 milligram per kilogram of body weight every third day for 2 months, right? So that was the schedule that they put them on. And they found that, well, what they did is they treated the rats for 2 weeks first to let it actually set in and start to work. And then they started to conduct the test. And they found that it helped the rats overcome a fear response in a test considered to be like a model of anxiety and PTSD for humans, right? So it's just a model test that they use, but they used it on the rats. And the DMT microdosing helped them overcome that fear of just being in that scared state where, they're able to comprehend and clearly understand the situation a lot better. I'm assuming that's how it worked.
It makes sense though, because they went from just trying to be alive as rats to just being we're rats in our environment.
They became self-aware and shit.
Like hey, we're just rats and we get to crawl through all this shit and we get to eat food. Like, let's go. But the problem with that though is if you put those same rats back in the wild and they get that psychedelic response from the DMT, that puts them in danger, because then without that fear response, predators will be able to to eliminate them a lot faster. So they need a level of that anxiety. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that's crazy that it can take it away.
Yeah, and it also helped them with it also helped reduce immobility in an experiment that measures the effectiveness of antidepressant compounds. So,
that's crazy. I like hearing shit.
Right. So what they're saying is, DMT can possibly serve better than antidepressants. Right. That's what they're trying to figure out in this study. If
I absolutely
psychedelics
think it can.
Well, of course. I mean, because we take psychedelics, so of course we think that, because it's helped us with those situations personally too.
Absolutely.
Like, and we could talk about that after I get through with this, but I just found it interesting that they've actually really done a study now to really see this. And this is UC Davis. This isn't like just some like backwater, like,
right.
You know what I mean? It's not some group that's just trying to figure it out so they can make money.
Yeah, right. You have a credible source.
Right.
You're dealing with a credible source, and you're.
But some of the risks that they noticed is for male rats, it actually increased their body weight. So I don't know. There's obviously got to be more studies on that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And then in female rats, it caused neuronal atrophy.
Okay, explain that though. For people who don't know what neuronal atrophy is.
Well, I'm assuming that that's just like nerve growth, right? But neuronal atrophy is the opposite of growth, right? Just like when astronauts go to space and the less gravity and the less restriction that they have on their body, their muscles atrophy, right?
So,
but they've noticed over time, right, through microdosing over the course of this time, it caused a little bit of neuronal atrophy in female rats only, though, not in the male rats. And it was actually a very unexpected find. Out of all of this, it might be the most unexpected find for the scientists studying this, because they also did a study with, well, I don't know if they did a study, but they did a side by side, I guess, of microdosing and single high dosing.
Okay.
Right. So
what's a high dose? Though?
Micro versus macro. Well, they don't specify what the high dose, but I'm just assuming micro versus macro. Right. Right. Like I'm microdose today. Right. So I took a 0.1, 0.2, and you macrodose. You took 2 grams, 2.5 grams, give or take. Right.
Yeah. 2.5 grams, pretty much.
Right. So I microdose just like these fucking rats right here.
Oh man.
But what they figured out is that with the single high dose of DMT, it showed increased neuronal growth. So that's why the discovery of the atrophy in the female rats was actually really surprising to the scientists, that they actually really noted that was surprising. So I'm assuming that was the most surprising find of the study.
Because I wonder what their bodies are accepting the DMT as to create the difference.
Right.
Right? You know what I mean?
But I'm just interested in why, like, one high
because
dose
the cells
would boost
already
it.
Understand if one is male or female. First of all, that's just a crazy thought.
That is
just
crazy.
That the cells already understand if it's male or female to give the right, growth or not.
So the results of this study...
It's crazy.
Well, the results of this study suggest acute hallucinogenic dose and chronic intermittent low doses of DMT produce very different biochemical and structural phenotypes. And that's crazy, because I wouldn't have expected it to be too much different. Like I expected microdosing taking on a long-term scale would be great for treating anxiety in the long run.
Right.
And I figured single dose would just be, you get that single dose, you have a good night, and the next day it's kind of back to normal. Well, not the next day, because it usually lingers for a couple days. But then,
no, but it
after
wears
like 3
off.
days. After 3 days.
The first day, yeah, the heaviness of it wears
Well,
off.
yeah, of course,
sure,
but there's always that lingering effect, the lingering thoughts in your head.
I think you're just thinking about it.
Maybe.
I think you're just thinking about it, and you're just trying
that's
to figure
what I get
everything out.
from
that's
macro.
the beauty of it.
From those macro doses. That's why I don't know. I don't really take too many macro doses. I like the micro dose. It helps me just concentrate. Helps keep me focused. It helps with the anxiety a lot. It helps with.
It absolutely helps with anxiety. Like it's making.
It helps with emotion, like depression, any types of depression. You know what I'm saying? Like it really does help microdosing on a small level. Now.
Yeah, like I'm having a great time right now.
Now, obviously,
doing this podcast. Wow.
Obviously, I microdose a different substance than which the study was using for a microdose. They were using DMT, which is a much stronger compound than psilocybin. But
just to have something to compare it to, right?
Well, the compounds are very, very similar.
The
compounds are very, very similar. I mean, I'm not a chemist or anything, so I can't really attest to how similar, but they're very similar.
Anyways, I hate to put a pause on the podcast, but can I make a cup of coffee?
Damn. Thirsty or what?
Yeah, fuck it.
Sorry.
Oh,
man. All right, man. All right, so you got your cup of coffee now. We're back.
Yeah.
How is it? Is it good? You good with it?
I mean, it's all right.
Need some cream, some sugar, some honey, something.
I just really enjoy coffee, and I need a drink. No, I could be honest. It's a much bigger problem than that. I drink a lot of coffee. I work nights.
I can't. I'm telling you, like, Coffee
But
for
even
me,
if I
it's a
didn't, I
bad
like
mood.
coffee.
It's like a bad mood thing. Like if I drink too much coffee, like not if I just have a cup today, I'm cool. But if I have a cup today, cup tomorrow, going on for like a week, 5 days, bro. By the end of the 5 days, I'm cranky. I get irritated easy.
To me,
it's weird.
It's in the same day. Like, I need caffeine. I have a headache until I go and get caffeine.
Well, yeah, I get those too.
You go and get caffeinated, and then you're okay. And that's the first cup of coffee is just to get off, feeling fuzzy. If you wake up fuzzy. Most of the time I don't because that's more of a dehydration thing than you think. Then most people think, oh, caffeine cures headaches. No, it's not that caffeine cures headaches. It's that caffeine has a little bit of water that you've been searching for. The only way to consume caffeine is water-wise, right?
Right.
So you get that water. And that's what your body's really saying, like, whoa, thanks for that splash. That's what we've been needing. And take that headache away because, that's their way of signaling you, hey, we need some of this. Just like your gut signaling you when it's hungry, right?
Man.
It's the same shit. But anyway, so I really just go between cups of coffee and water like nothing. Like I probably drink, oh, shit, you're going to make me put them.
Shit, I ain't making you do anything.
No. I'm saying in my mind, so I'm gonna say it, but I'm just like, shit. Probably like 5 cups at least.
That's straight.
At least.
That's straight. I drink at least like 3 or 4 cups of tea a day.
No, yeah, but tea is much different. It's a lower level of caffeine.
Yeah, and that also doesn't include like if I go out to eat, like at a restaurant or somewhere, and I have iced tea.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about just hot tea, like in the morning, green tea or black tea.
Of course, but no, I'll order coffees anywhere now.
I do like coffee though.
Yeah.
But
say,
man,
you know what? Let me get a water and a coffee.
I just can't drink too much of it. It fucks me up over the course of a couple of days.
Not me. I try to stay as hydrated as possible.
No, I mean it fucks with my mood.
Okay,
it doesn't fuck with me like I don't feel like body wise. It just fucks with my mood.
That's interesting. I never thought.
But if I do the same shit,
but obviously I've been chasing it. That's why I'm saying like, man, I like coffee maybe a little too much.
Well, if I do the same thing with tea though, if I drink the same amount of tea for that many days straight, I don't get that same feeling. So
I like a good cup of coffee though, but I like my coffee black. I don't know how you take your coffee.
No, same.
I take it black because that's the only way you're going to know if it's good coffee or not. If you take it black. Everything else is just dressing, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I got my coffee and we're back.
Man, what's your I've been seeing on your Instagram you've been hitting like a bunch of random little coffee shops and shit.
Yeah.
What's your favorite one so far?
No, well, I've always gone to all those coffee shops. I'm just starting.
Well, yeah, no. Now you're taking pictures of it, but which one is?
Man, it's hard. Because they're all so unique, and that's the beauty of them. Is like there's no way to just rank which one is better. Like each one has its own mood. It's like imagine like there was a Disney movie that they put out that was very similar. A newish one, like one that my son saw when he was a little bit younger called Inside Out. Where it went inside of your moods and emotions, and each mood had its own land. It was kind of like that. Yeah. So, wait, what was I talking about? Hold on, you got to bring it back a little bit.
Man, you're that far gone already?
No, I'm. That's just a regular miscue.
I was just trying to find out what was your favorite coffee shop.
Oh yeah.
And you went and you started talking about Disney movies. But yeah, it's just a simple question, like where, like what's the name?
Okay.
And where is it at? Like it's not all that crazy.
Okay, well.
I don't need the whole science behind it.
Of course not. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, good thing you pulled me back. I was going down that wormhole.
It happens.
It happens, man. It's the YouTube age. But, no, but it's just the truth. I just don't really have a favorite. I can't say that I have a favorite. I think each one just has its own unique theme. Like, one looks like an old school library that has a bunch of books all over the place, and you can grab them off the shelf. Another
Oh, that's
one,
tight.
yeah. Another one is just like they have nice plants up. They have one wall painted black, so it has juxtaposition against a nice painting that they have up.
Oh, that's nice.
You know what I mean? It's just nice. It looks nice in
Here
there.
comes the ghetto bird.
Yeah, and you're having apologies, and you're having a nice cup of coffee there, but the scenery is nice. You know, you feel like you're somewhere else. You feel like you're escaping somewhere, like on vacation, even though you're somewhere local, kind of. I guess. You know, gives it that feel. You're out of your living room. You're out of your space.
Yeah, that's cool. I want to go check out one of them.
There's also one that just looks like this old Spanish, like, you know, kind of like somewhere deep in Mexico, that it's not really that dark. It's kind of like dank in there, but it's got all of that nice like Mexican like color in there and paintings and
so they got
just,
like
architecture.
straight kind of like coffee beans from Mexico and shit like that too.
No. They got stuff from they believe in it. It's more of a Spanish style. It's not even Mexico. It's more of like a Spanish style.
Man,
like it's crazy. It's nice. There's a lot of different shit out there. So I can't say that I have a favorite. Nah, it'd be a disservice. Kind of.
Which one do you go to most?
Well, the one that's closest to me, and honestly, I don't even have a picture up of it.
Oh, okay,
That's
smart. That's smart. Don't burn it out. Yeah, don't burn it out.
Yeah, so that's how it works. But
man,
but not even like that. Not even to burn it out. I would promote it, and the one that I go to the most is called Lord Windsor. Yeah, it's just no. It's just that's what it's called in my neighborhood. It's not. I didn't choose it. It's just like it's that one. It
chose me.
Yeah, because that's the closest one walking, and I don't ever want to leave anywhere because parking's a bitch.
Oh,
like once you leave parking there, you lost your parking.
That's why I hate going to your house.
Yeah, so if you have prime parking in Long Beach, it's nice, but it's a major problem over there, and I imagine in other parts of L.A. too. Of course, L.A. is way overpopulated.
Oh hell yeah, it is, man. The other day, me and my girl. Well, I guess about 2 weeks ago now, me and my girl went out to lunch in Torrance, in Old Torrance, right? And
right in South Bay.
Bro, they have a
South Bay, Los Angeles.
They have a tea shop there.
Right.
And they have like a whole wall with cans full of different kinds of tea from all over the world, like different flavors teas, different types of teas, white tea, black tea, brown tea, green
like
tea.
Like a real tea cafe.
All of that shit. And you could sample their teas and all that shit, or you could just buy loose leaf right there and go about your way. But man, like, I mean, it's kind of it's like a, you know, obviously it's kind of like upscale-y.
No. You're talking about like a modern tea place like that are starting to pop up, and that's nice. It's nice to see it that way.
Definitely something I haven't seen before.
But you're not seeing like also an old traditional Japanese tea house.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like that would be awesome.
No, yeah, that'd be interesting too.
That would be awesome, but it's cool that you could walk into a place that's just dedicated to tea.
Yeah, and they have that.
And they have everything for sale. Because
I
I love loose leaf tea.
Yeah,
that's something that I like a lot.
Me too. That's why I was like, man, I need to come back and get some tea. And my girl actually, she ended up going back a couple of days later with her friend. And the two of them, they had a little tea party and shit.
Oh shit, that's nice.
I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, like they have like all kinds of interesting, crazy teas there. So I don't know. One of these days, I need to go over there myself and like cop some loose leaf tea.
Yeah,
they have all kinds of crazy teapots too. They have like all kinds of crazy, like on all their walls just line up with shelves, which is like different teapots and like tea sets and all kinds of shit.
Yeah, let me know when you go, or I might have to just go myself. I'll probably go.
You'll probably end up going yourself before then, yeah. But yeah, it's still, over there in Old Town Torrance, right next to Torrance Bakery. I forget what it's called, but it's right next to Torrance Bakery.
Oh yeah, I'll figure it out. Yeah, I'm in there quite more often than I think sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, it's like right across the street from Bo's.
Yeah,
the cigar lounge.
Yeah,
it's right across the street.
Okay, yeah.
Bo's is on the corner and it's like down but across the street, just like a couple businesses over but across the street.
I feel it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's an interesting little spot. Check out. It's just kind of weird because it's like they have all the shit that lines the wall, but in the middle of the whole place is where all the tables are, the tea party. So it's like you kind of want to walk and like check out like the all the different sets, but then it's like you're walking by all the parties, you know. So it's kind of like weird, like it's like you should make a store section and like
they
a
definitely
party section.
no.
You know?
Well, I think it's sometimes they just have to deal with the architecture that's already there. Yeah.
It's a giant square. It's really big.
Oh,
it's
a
really
giant square,
big.
so you can
really
just
big.
do whatever you want.
It's really big.
So
it's
they
really
have
big.
no excuse.
No,
you have no
it's just
fucking
poorly
excuse.
set up, in my opinion. But it is what it is.
Man.
It is what it is.
I
mean,
mean,
not everybody's gonna be great at everything, but what they are great at is having a fucking huge selection.
Who cares? Who cares even with that? It's
tea.
just the idea.
Yeah.
It's at least they have the idea that they want to push tea out there.
Yeah. The thing is, they have a huge selection of tea, so that's all that really matters. At the end of the day, they're a tea store and they have hella tea.
Dude,
More tea than I've ever seen.
They brought tea to you.
And like you know those, you know
somehow.
like, you know in Christmas time when you get that tin of popcorn, like on their walls, it's just tins of tea like that size, that big ass tin size.
Holy shit!
Like
that's
about
a lot
that
of tea.
size. But just and the whole thing, like they.
You could buy that though, or that's just where they grab from.
Well, that's where they grab from.
Okay.
If you have that much, I'm sure you could buy that. I mean, if you
the whole
spend,
tin.
Yeah, if you want to spend that much, I'm sure.
How much do you think one of those tins cost?
A lot, dude. I'm sure a lot because a lot of these teas are just from like all over the world, so it's like they don't really have like really anything basic.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure they do, right? Like basic versions of everything, but for the most part, all of these are like imported teas from all over the world.
No, I feel you. Like it's not gonna be.
Yeah, I don't know. I had a menu around here, but I don't see what happened. I don't know what happened to it. So
yeah,
I have to find it later. But yeah, they have all kinds of shit. So I thought that was a pretty cool little spot to go check out.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, they brought tea to you.
Yeah.
That's what I say. That's how I would feel about it. It's just, hey, they brought tea to you because.
Man, you know what's gonna start? You know what?
Able to buy tea like that before.
You know what I want to just bring tea to me? One of those like Darpa robots, those little dogs, and those little dogs, and those little M.I.T dogs.
Nope, that's where you got me fucked up.
The Darpa dogs.
You got me on. We're gonna start Darpa dogs. Like, hold on. Let's start
DarpaDogs.com.
DarpaDogs.com and what?
Darpa dogs. So if you don't have no idea what we're talking about, when you get a chance, go on YouTube or go to Google and just type in Darpa, DARPA, dogs, and you'll see exactly what we're talking about.
Okay,
but
no.
If you've you've probably already seen it, and they're just those robots that look like dogs with no heads.
Yeah.
There's just robots that you've probably seen all over social media. Like every couple months, they pop out showing you they can run on a treadmill or they can go upstairs now. Like every 6 months is a new video. First, it was like, look, we made it. And then it was like, look, it could take a couple steps. They're like, look, it could go upstairs.
You know what it looks
like? They're like, look,
like...
this shit could fucking run. Like, oh shit, that shit runs at like 40 miles an hour. And then you're like, now look, it could flip over and roll and do all these things.
No,
and,
you know what? It
but
looks
wait,
like
now
a spider.
No, but now
it just looks like a spider to me sometimes.
So first they were the size of like, probably like a big ass, like a Great Dane size, right?
Yeah,
like they were big robots. But now, like they just showed one the other day. That's like the size.
A spider size.
No, it's about the size of maybe like a Chihuahua or like the small dog size. Like they made one like that. So
like a,
bro, that's already a wrap.
Like a mini dog.
Yeah, they made a mini one.
Well, I think they had an episode of, was it Black Mirror that did that? Where they had one of those little dogs that would come.
I don't know, probably. I think so.
You never saw that episode?
I kind of heard something about it, but I didn't see that episode, no.
Oh, man, that episode's creepy.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, because if they weaponize those things, it's over.
It's a wrap, right?
Yeah, it's over.
That shit runs like 30, 40 miles an hour. That shit,
even if it ran like a basic dog, it already is going to outrun you.
Well, I think a basic dog runs like 20, 30 miles an hour almost.
So. Yeah, but this one's going to do it so fast, so rapidly.
Yeah.
And without any tire,
You're ever getting tired.
Yeah. It's going to be running at that sustainable pace, until it runs out of battery.
Once it runs out of battery, then...
By then, you're already... Come on. You're already gone.
Yeah.
You're already gone. But, that's creepy.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy.
No, I really mean it. Like, every time I've seen some of those videos or the news out there about those things, the way that they move, even just, like, the small movements that they have, that's what reminds me of a spider.
You're like, fuck, this shit's going to get us.
Yeah, because it's going to be able to do anything. Just kind of like a spider.
That shit's going to get us, man.
because they got the drones already, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
wait till they have just like a Darpa dog that already just crawled up your ceiling.
A Darpa dog drone. Damn.
And it's just silently hovering above your bed while you're sleeping.
Dude, that's gonna fuck shit. Dude.
What if it just uploads your consciousness and then just starts selling it as a chip?
Well, yeah, that's what I know you're not on Facebook, but there's a lot of these there's a lot of these Facebook like posts that go around. That go around and that they basically want you to answer questions. So it'll be like answer 5 questions and see which X-Men you are, right? Answer 5 questions and see which Avengers you are.
Yeah.
Right? Like they do all these weird answer these couple questions, and it's just like nothing too personal, but kind of off personal, right? Like it'll be like what's your favorite color? Blue. Right? And then be like, what's your favorite thing to do?
Right.
And like to read. Right? So then it's like obviously you end up becoming Beast or some shit.
Yeah,
right, because you're blue and you like to read, so you're like a dork.
Right. They're matching it up to something.
Right, but they're just doing that for you. That's your result. Right. But in the back end, they're piling up all this data, right? And the data is being used to not only target you with ads, but this data could also feed into a database that will be accessed by an AI, maybe a rogue AI, or they're setting it up for an AI to learn off of these databases about people and what they like and what they do.
Yeah, they create an algorithm pretty much that'll help feed whatever
Right. Well, they're just trying to get the
mainframe or the server, right? And they get you to believe. No,
I don't know what you're getting at, but my thing is they're just feeding all this into a database. Yeah, that's the shrooms.
That's the shroom.
And this is the information that AI is going to use to learn about humans.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they're going to use the internet. They're going to use these databases where it's all this kind of questioning and shit like that. They're going to use it's going to be a lot of.
That's interesting because I know AI from a very sci-fi perspective. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm a deep sci-fi fan, but I'll even admit that there's not a lot of scientific truth to a lot of the shit that I know about AI. But it just makes it an interesting place to me. But I know that you know a little bit more about AI, that you've been looking into it over the past year.
I mean, yeah, I have. I have been looking into it a lot.
What could you tell me that's crazy about AI?
Well, I could tell you some interesting things about AI. I could tell you how they're using, like, I read something where they're using, like, they're getting weather reports throughout history, right? Like an almanac, right? Like a farmer's almanac, where so they've kind of compiled that data, but they're going to be feeding it to an AI to understand future projections on on how weather patterns will change and shit like that. And I find that shit kind of interesting.
Of course,
because that's an interesting step in how we're going to understand how to harness our planet. You know what I'm saying? Because in order to become a type 1 civilization, like, we have to be able to harness the complete energy of our planet, right? Okay, and then something like that bit of AI and what they're applying that to could really help kind of bring us toward that way, right? First we have to understand how things work fully before we can utilize them. Right?
But I think the ultimate question always comes down to, and this is what I'm saying, from like even more of a deep-rooted sci-fi, point of view, is how far though? How far do we push that technology before it goes over and just fucks us?
Well, that's the issue too, and
because it's pretty close to that. You gotta admit.
What I have seen,
or does it have to?
Well, what I have seen is most of the people that are using AI are using it for like individual smaller things. And the only people I really worry about developing AI is like the Pentagon. You know what I'm saying? I worry about
get their hand on it regardless. But I'm just saying,
I'm worried about the government developing AI in order to police places, in order to, you know, maybe even police the internet or anything like that.
I got you.
That's what I'm wary of. I'm not too wary of individual corporations and companies developing AI to better their business, unless they're essentially like a company like that are producing weapons, that are weapons manufacturers, or that are companies that are like leading tech companies, like even Amazon, but mainly like Apple and Samsung, Android development, stuff like that. Google. I worry about their AI projects. Facebook. I worry about those kind of AI projects because they can have a potentially much more damaging impact.
They have the ability to shape the world. They have a worldwide impact.
Of course, but they have
more than anything,
a definite ability to very much hurt the planet.
No, of course. That's why, because Apple has the whole, has a major influence on the planet.
I worry about those kind of companies, but I don't worry about like farmers using AI to detect weather patterns and shit like that.
Of course not. We're talking about
cool shit.
That's right. Like, I love it for all of that shit too, though. I love it for all that shit too, but then I start thinking too of, like, you're right, the Apples, the who else has a major hand out there? Even just Microsoft, you know, their direct competitors, Samsung, Sony, everybody that has access to this shit and will have access to testing it. And over there, it seems like they have the cream of the crop. Like, that's where all the tech guys go to learn, and some of them even create their own companies, and they're just funding them to create even crazier technology companies. And it.
Yeah, I mean, it could, man, like, the future with AI is very, very.
It makes you question, like, how far are they gonna push it, because it might fall into the wrong hands, and with enough money, of course, that's gonna happen no matter what, right?
But I know about another kind of weird, interesting use of AI.
What's the most interesting?
I mean, obviously, you've heard of IBM's Watson, right?
What's that?
That's their AI computer that went on Jeopardy and then played the chess champion. I mean, this has been going on for like 10 years now.
Right, Watson? Like, okay, I didn't know the name of it, but I mean,
obviously,
that sounds familiar. I heard of that.
That's their AI project, right?
That's been their AI project, is what you're saying.
So that's what they're working on, right? But one interesting thing that they did is they used Watson to write a car commercial.
Oh, what?
Yeah, and if you watch the car commercial, you wouldn't think any other difference. You wouldn't even realize that like that it was done by a
Wait, but I'm not even interested in the car. Oh, so they gave him the data of the video and he composed the car commercial?
Yeah, so
okay.
What they did,
I get you now.
What they did is they fed 15 years of Cannes Lions Award winning the Cannes Film Festival.
Yeah.
Every year they give an award for automotive commercials, car commercials.
Yeah.
And so what they did is they took the audio, the text, and the visual data from the past 15 years of that award, and they fed it to Watson. They let it analyze and produce a script, and then they had an Oscar-winning director actually direct the story. But it was for Lexus. But that's something that AI can do too. So what's scary, right, is when does AI take over making movies, right?
Well, just providing visuals, right? Because
I mean, providing not even just visuals, but providing the story, right? Because it wrote the story to the car commercial.
That's interesting. I want to see that car commercial.
Based on 15 years of award-winning car commercials.
Yeah.
So it took every little bit of data, put it together in itself, and figured out a great story.
That's already pushing it to me.
Right.
Though.
That's kind of crazy, right?
Kind of, crazy? Yeah. You're pushing it to the edge, because once it can control, that's like advertising has always. People think that that advertising has hidden what it's been this whole time. It never hid that. No way.
No, it never did.
No way. It just monetized it, so it had no need to have to tell you about it. If it didn't have to, but they're very honest that it was just mind manipulation, right?
Yep. And so,
that's
like,
all it is.
So you got to think, like, if they're already using AI to write a car commercial, bro, like,
it's gonna have.
And then also, right? Wouldn't Tesla's self-driving be considered AI?
The
self-driving feature,
AI.
that's AI, right?
Yeah,
that's artificial intelligence too, right? Because it has to analyze the road and comprehend whether you got to stop, whether there's a possible collision coming, whether there's a red light, green light, it's got to go, it's got to stop. You could signal lane changes. It could change lanes.
No, it does all of that for you, supposedly, right?
Yeah, it does. I mean, from the videos, what I see, I haven't driven in one. So
no, I'm saying supposedly because I've never been in one.
That's what I'm saying, yeah, too. I've never been in one.
But other than that, like that technology totally exists. It's weird. It's weird to me because supposedly they are going to have those, is it Uber that's going to have the ones that fly to the rooftops already?
Oh, like, I don't know. But I know Uber is already starting to they're starting to roll out self-driving cars all around.
Oh, no, self-driving cars is totally going to replace, it's going to clean up that market.
Yeah, for sure.
And by clean up that market, like, what do you mean by that? Like, it's just... It's gonna, everybody that's just kind of, unfortunately, hardcore freelancing and making a really good living by doing it, probably. But, yeah, it's gonna.
Well, yeah, I mean.
Big business is just gonna take over, right? As it usually does.
That's just how it happens. That's just how it flows. But that's my thing is like, so AI is already being used in a lot of different areas of life that we don't even think about.
Your cell phone, right?
Well, of course. Right. I mean, even down to Netflix, right? How they process what you like and what you dislike based on what you watch.
Yeah, they have their algorithms built. Yeah.
So I mean, that's kind of, I guess, that's a small version of it, but it still is. It's machine learning.
There's processes in way.
Yeah,
for sure.
So I mean, but one thing AI might be good for is building colonies on the moon or on Mars, right? Setting up robots.
There's definitely that, but that's why it's an evolution that has to happen no matter what, Right. Because there's too many pros and cons.
Sending robots to another planet.
The fact that there's enough pros, and I feel like we just know that we're just not gonna live here that long, so we're like we tend to want to do things rapidly, right?
Right.
Based around our life cycle, I guess. Makes sense.
Have you been keeping up with that Mars One project?
No, how's that going? But isn't that explain that one a little bit.
Well, that's that one-way ticket to Mars. That's that they try to set up a
How many people get to go?
I forget, dude. I forget.
That's what I'm saying. Like, describe it a little bit, just so I could.
Well, I mean, I can only
get a new feel for it.
I mean, I can only really describe it from memory, but essentially, it's a group of people. It's an organization that wants to set up bases on Mars. They want to establish the first human base or settlement on another planet, and Mars is their choice. And they already got a commitment. They already got a commitment from Elon and SpaceX to use the rocket to send the first Marstronauts.
So they got
Martians, first Martians.
Marstronauts. I know. Is that what they're called?
No. They're still astronauts, but when they get there and they live there, they're gonna technically be Martians, right?
No, of course.
They're still gonna be Earthlings, but their kids will be Martians. Oh, if they live long enough to have kids.
Their kids will definitely be Martians, yes. Let's be clear of that right now. Their kids will definitely be Martians.
If they live long enough.
Hell yeah. It's crazy because they'll be talking about Earth, you know what I mean, as a past place, as a past planet, if that's possible.
That's true.
So it's trippy to think about it that way. When you bring up that Mars One project, other than the fact of obviously they're gonna go over there to try to colonize Mars. How soon though? How soon does he plan to do it? Is what I'm interested
in. How fast Elon wants to get there, or?
Yeah. Yeah, like how? Yeah, like how fast does
I think Elon recently was kind of shifting focus to the moon. Okay. He wants to do the moon thing first, but
And what's the moon thing? Is just where they fly around the moon? It's just they basically.
Well, um,
they get slingshotted back.
I think you even sent me the link not too long ago about that billionaire or billionaire probably.
Yeah, everybody's in on.
No, that bought that ticket on the SpaceX trip around the moon. The first man shit they're gonna send around the moon is not even gonna be like an astronaut. It's just gonna be a private citizen.
Right.
So, somebody already booked that ticket.
No, yeah.
So they're gonna
I do remember sending you that.
Yeah,
that was crazy. Right, yeah. When I read that, I was like, oh man. But that's how you know it's like very. You know it's real when there's just one guy that's convinced everybody, and now all the big billionaires want a piece, so they're gonna drive it. And you're like, when they say that 2019 is the year of space travel, I believe it at some point for sure. And the way that Elon moves, oh, for sure.
Yeah, they just making things happen at SpaceX, dude.
So I do believe that there's gonna be a spaceship that flies into, of course, lower orbit, and you could just hang out there and see the views and have a great time. But it's going to be how much to get up there, because there's not going to be that many seats. That was my initial question, is how many people?
Well, they're planning on a 2022 demonstration mission. So they want to
what the fuck? So what do they send up there to test?
Basically they're going to
not humans.
They're just trying to provide a proof of concept for some of the tech that are going to be crucial to the human survival on Mars. So they're going to send shit there to figure shit out. So among the things they're going to send is a camera to enable video stream from Mars to Earth. So a live stream, essentially, a constant stream. So they want to set that up. They want to set up a water extraction experiment to confirm that water can actually be extracted from the Martian soil. Because it's been detected from the rovers, but up to this point, we don't know if it could actually be extracted or not.
What's crazy is nobody's going to do that experiment, though. Unless he didn't get his hand in the industry, like nobody was going to even try that experiment, probably.
No, I don't think it's going to have people. It's just going to be robots, kind of.
No. I don't even mean there. I just mean in general, like when NASA was sending all their stuff up.
Right, but this isn't even Elon setting this shit up. This is part of the Mars One organization, the program. They're setting all this shit up. Elon's just providing the transportation.
Right.
He's just giving them a bus ticket.
Yeah, essentially. That's right. That's his industry, right?
Yeah. They're gonna do a thin film solar panel experiment, testing multiple brands and types of thin film solar panels. So there's a bunch of people.
What does that mean?
Well, there's a bunch of companies that are developing solar panels.
Okay.
That are light, and because solar panels now are bulky and heavy. Right. So there are a bunch of companies out there that are developing really light, really good, high producing solar panels.
Yeah, obviously.
So, they're gonna send up, instead of just doing just Earth-based tests, they're gonna send up everybody who's competing for the job up at the same time.
Of course.
And they're gonna run the test all at once to see who made the better panels. I mean,
that's how it works. But that's crazy. They've gotten, like, what's the smallest solar panel they've ever made?
That I don't know. That I couldn't tell you. But then 2 years later, in 2024, that's when they want to send up a communication satellite. So they want it to place it in a stationary Mars orbit. So so it's in a constant orbit and it won't fall back to Mars anytime soon. They want the satellite to enable communications between Earth and Mars and relay images, videos, other data, blah blah blah, but for a 24/7 basis.
Okay.
Except if the sun is in between the planets, then they can't.
Okay, that kind of makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, because the solar.
It's gonna block. Right.
Solar flares. And
it's gonna affect communications. Okay. So that'll be an issue. And then 2 years after that, they're planning in 2026 to send a rover and another communication satellite. That way, so they have 2 satellites together in orbit, so that the planet is pretty much always covered.
Okay, so it's sort of like what I imagined then, which was 2050 we're talking about?
No.
No?
Well, maybe by the time it's fully operational.
No, that's what I mean by the time they actually send a human up there.
No. Before that.
It's before that,
Yeah.
you think still?
Well, that's what they're.
That's what they're
That's
saying.
their
Okay.
roadmap. So in 2029, so 3 years after they send the rover and the second comm satellite, they're gonna send a cargo mission. So 6 cargo missions will be launched to Mars, containing a second rover, 2 living units, 2 life support units, and a supply unit. The 6 cargo units will land up to 10 kilometers away from the outpost on Mars, using a rover signal as a beacon. So that first rover that they send up, that's going to be the one that establishes essentially where the base will be. Okay. Right? And then they'll be using that rover's signal as a beacon to land the next 6 cargo missions in 2029. Which will contain a second rover, like I said, 2 living units, 2 life support units, and a supply unit. And then a year after that, 2030, is when they plan to have the outpost operational, and the rovers will actually be the ones that will be building the outpost.
Okay. This sounds very like Aliens.
Well, I mean, yeah, they're not going to have people go up there.
No, not yet. But I get it. Like, that's how it was always supposed to be anyway.
And then, so if everything is operational in 2030, which they're hoping for, then in 2031, when Earth and Mars are close together again, and they can send humans, they will send the first crew to start their journey to Mars.
So by what year was that?
They're hoping for 2031. They're hoping to be outpost operational by 2030, and departure of the first crew in 2031. And wow. So in 2032, when the crew actually lands.
That's kind of mind-blowing to me, though. That alone, that fast? You don't think that's fast?
Me?
That's
pretty
pretty fast.
Especially for how this kind of shit works. Yeah, it's pretty quick. Because we're not in a race. And they're not in a race.
No, but now they are in a business race.
Well, yeah.
Kind of. So that's what I'm saying. Like, now this shit got very real because...
They're in a business race, but they're not in a life or death race in terms of, like, we got to beat Russia to space, so we got to beat Russia to the moon type shit. They're not on that type of deadline or that type of pressure.
Right, but it's a different fight. I think they're just fighting for, like, let's get the biggest chip. But that's crazy. 2030, dude?
Yeah.
To have actual people on Mars.
And that journey is going to be 6 to 8 months.
Just to get there.
Yeah. And there's no way to get back.
Oh, my God.
There's no return trip.
It's a one-way trip to Mars.
It's a one-way
That's what trips me out is just that's already happening in 2030. It's a one-way ticket to Mars now.
It's crazy.
It's kind of like Total Recall.
Fuck
it. It's just like, hey, man, Total Recall became real.
It's like
prophets of science fiction got us again.
That's the beginning. This is the beginning of The Expanse. Right here. This is the beginning of it.
No, yeah, it's weird.
It's the beginning of it. It's before the colonization of Mars.
Oh, man, it's weird. Yeah, I guess. If by getting there it becomes Total Recall, it's eventually gonna become The Expanse. You're right. That's what it's really leading to. Oh shit, that's terrible, but that's crazy. It's crazy because it makes all of those fantasies that were super deep fantasies reality.
Yeah.
Like they must have done to the people that, before space travel started, right? Even before anybody even tried to go to the moon, I mean, like there was people reading about spaceships and shit like that in the 20s and all that. Yeah. But nobody had ever explored it up there. Right. And all of this happens in less than 100 years.
Yeah. So just imagine what the next 100 are going to bring.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's why, like, the only reason why I think that this timeline is off is just because of how life works.
No. Of course, I'm just saying that their planning is by then. That's amazing.
Crazy. Yeah.
That in itself is amazing. That they really believe that they can get up there that fast. That's amazing to me, and that means that they are gonna push it probably to the brink of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely crazy.
That's crazy enough to me. Like, it doesn't even need to be completed by 2031, but the fact that you're chasing that, it's crazy.
It's quite an achievement if they can get there. I mean, they have so much. I mean, without, it's crazy because they're gonna have to rely on a lot of different businesses. They're gonna have to rely on different space agencies to help them out. They're gonna have to rely on a lot of different shit to help.
There's gonna be a lot of hands.
And with that, when you gotta rely on that much shit, man, that makes any little delay will equal a big delay.
Right, and there's always human error. It's always involved, of course.
And the SpaceX, the rocket isn't even ready yet.
Oh man,
the rocket was supposed to be tested last year. Now it's supposed to be tested this year. Now it's not looking like until the end of this year, then so that actually really means next year.
Mm-hmm. I feel you.
Right? Because they're not gonna launch it if they're not ready.
I'm hoping so.
Right? I mean, well, obviously I'm saying they're not gonna test launch it unless they're like a 1,000,000% ready.
Of course, unless they're
because there's a lot on the line for SpaceX.
No, and there's a lot of money.
Right.
There's a lot of money to be lost, but I think it's just crazy that they can re-land their rockets.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then later on this year, they are sending up the first manned Dragon capsule, SpaceX.
Okay, what does that mean?
So they've built a space capsule.
For one human?
3, I believe.
Okay.
I think it fits 3.
Okay.
3 in their gear or something like that.
What does it look like? Like a little pill?
I mean, it just looks like a like a regular space capsule, pretty much like a regular space capsule, but modern. It's got all touch screens inside instead of like the Apollo when you look inside and it's all these switches and shit. Yeah. This shit is all touch screen. It looks like it looks straight sci-fi as hell. Like it's super dope, but it looks.
It's already built, and then they already have.
Well, yeah, they just sent the first. They've built this capsule, right? And they've been using this capsule to resupply the space station. So they've been using this capsule. However, in order to transport actual humans, not just materials and gear and equipment, right? To actually transport humans, there's a lot of other things that the capsule needs. Yeah, it's cool. It can seal, it can dock, and all that. That's great. That's part of it. But it's got to have life support systems.
No, legally you got to fall under all the safety standards for sure.
I mean, yeah, it's got to have life support systems.
You have to sustain life.
It's got to be able to have oxygen, water, et cetera, right? It has to be able to have good shielding from radioactivity in space.
Yeah, of course.
It has to adhere to all these really strict standards just to carry humans. So they've built it and to all those exact standards, and they just this past week they sent up the first test capsule. I mean, it didn't have no humans in it, but the first capsule that's meant for humans up.
Right.
They just loaded it with gear, but it's essentially the human version.
Oh,
and they just loaded it with extra gear and sent it up.
And how far does it go?
It goes to the space station.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see the video of them like recovering it, or is that video already out?
No, I don't think it's come back. I don't think it's undocked and come back yet.
Okay.
But
they have a video of it docking though.
I believe so.
Made it there.
Well, they had.
I imagine it made it.
Well,
there
they have the
fast.
launch video and all that shit too. So I'm pretty sure they have the video. I didn't check to see if they had the video of docking.
Oh man, that's what I want to see. But that's so weird. You're right.
I mean, because they've been docking. They've been doing it with the same exact thing, except just inside is different now. The outside is essentially the same.
That's so weird though.
Yeah.
It's weird to me.
They will definitely be sending up a human later on this year because that shit passed fine. Now it just has to come back. If it comes back fine, then they probably maybe send one more test run just to, to make sure everything's cool, make everybody happy at NASA and shit. And then next thing you know, they're going to be sending humans up to the space station, which is a big accomplishment for them. To go from sending up payloads, satellites, and shit, dude, supplies.
That gets even weirder.
Now it's people.
And
it's a private company.
That gets even weirder to me because you're right. Like it's like less of a spaceship What if it's just like a teleportation ship eventually?
Yeah, that's crazy though. That's too far away.
No. I think that's very far away. But
yeah, that's too far away.
But do you think it'll ever just become a part of the natural evolution of everything? Probably.
I mean, I think if they could figure out how to get it to work right, yeah. I think they could do it, but I think their technology is not nowhere near close enough. Obviously now.
No, I'm not talking about now.
But
I'm just talking about an eventuality.
I think conceptually,
of humanity, like,
conceptually, it sounds like it'd be all right. It's just they got to figure out how to do reanimation. That's probably the hardest hurdle to get over.
I feel like it's not that hard of a
I think
hurdle.
you could phase somebody out easy, but reanimating them in a different place might be a little bit harder.
Oh man, like those experiments they did back in the days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So no. So you don't realistically, you're not buying into it.
Not for now. Definitely not now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So the capsule did touch down. It's already back to Earth.
And how does it look? Is it in good shape?
I mean, it looks burnt up. Look. It looks burnt and crispy.
No, but I mean, like, what? How does it look inside? Like, did everything survive nice?
I don't know about all that. They haven't said anything about that, at least not that I see yet. But I'm sure everything seemed fine. This is what it looked like docked with the space station.
Wow. That's a crazy picture to look at. That's amazing.
It's crazy, right? Too bad nobody can see it if you're listening.
Yeah.
But if you're listening, just type in SpaceX capsule and you'll find it.
What is it called, though? Which capsule? Or
It's
is that
the Dragon.
It's
It's the Dragon capsule.
okay, so look up the Dragon capsule.
Yeah. But you could just type in SpaceX capsule in the search engine and you'll find it.
It looked amazing, though. Just to be up there in space, I can't believe that thing could just send up people. How did they get it up there? What kind of rockets?
With the Falcon 9 right now.
Okay.
But this is what it looks like inside.
Oh my god.
Shit looks super sci-fi'd out, huh?
Yeah,
look at the spacesuit. Even the spacesuit is popping, huh?
It looks weird. Yeah, it looks very 2001, but also very like
modern too. It looks really dope. It makes me like, damn.
Yeah, like you're sitting in a modern car. Yeah, like a big Tahoe.
It's like, sitting in a Tesla and shit. It's like sitting in a Tesla.
It's like you're in an Escalade. Yeah. That's what it makes me.
An Escalade that flies to space.
An Escalade that makes it all the way up to space. That's what we're looking at right there. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's super sci-fi, but man, I feel like every like 5, not even. Well, it used to be 5 to 10 years when we were younger.
So apparently it could fit 7.
Oh my! And look at those seats. Those look like some nice ass like car racing.
Yeah, seats. Like some straight like F1 bucket seats.
Yeah, they're
fiber
nice.
Bucket seats.
Oh, those are nice.
Hell yeah, those are nice.
That's a nice way to the space station, guys. Please look this up.
5-point harness.
Yeah, no, guys. Please look this up. It looks nice.
Yeah, it does. Hell yeah, it does.
But anyways, yeah.
And then that's like the touchscreen controls. They come down to the.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Was that in the first picture that you showed me? Okay. Wow. Okay. Yeah, you see, it's like giant iPad screens. It's like basically what those Tesla cars.
It's like a Tesla. Yeah, it looks like a fucking Tesla, but instead of got a Tesla branding, it's got SpaceX branding on it. It looks really dope.
It's very nice, but it's very sci-fi, like you said.
So that's like the future right there of space travel. But I don't know if that's what they're gonna travel into Mars. I don't think that's what they'll travel into Mars because
they can't make it to Mars in that thing.
No,
that thing's too small.
Yeah. It's gonna have to be something bigger because you can't be in that shit for 6 months.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how long was it to Mars? And it was like 6 to 8 months, right?
So
No.
So that's something that they're gonna have to overcome too. It's like the actual transport vehicle. So I'm assuming that vehicle is gonna have to be built in space.
No, and I feel like they also got to accommodate like gravity after a while.
I'm just thinking they're gonna have to launch several different pieces of it, assemble it in space, because it's gonna be too big of an object to launch realistically from the ground.
Okay.
I mean, maybe that's why they're doing Falcon Heavy. Fuck. because they know they're gonna build something big, and maybe they will build it on the ground, and they'll just fly it up with Falcon Heavy, because Falcon Heavy, I mean, that shit's gonna be a beast.
Heavy
I mean, it's their, like right now when they launch a rocket up, you see it's got the 2 boosters that come back and land.
Yeah.
Right, and then the actual Falcon 9 rocket that goes into space and then delivers to the second stage or third stage or whatever.
Right.
But Falcon Heavy is humongous. It's gonna be the biggest rocket since.
And do you mean heavy by like is payload, right?
Yeah,
you're talking about payload, right?
Yeah. It's gonna be able to definitely carry pretty much anything they could build for it. Really.
Okay, like compared to something like a big truck, a fucking whole apartment building. What are we talking about here? Give us some scale.
I mean, it's a big fucking rocket, dude. I mean, that's essentially...
Because once you could launch stuff like that, like I feel you're going to have to make like an apartment, right? For like 8 months.
Well, what they're estimating is in order to go to Mars,
right?
Falcon Heavy can carry about 37,000 pounds payload.
Okay.
So
meaning
the people, meaning the supplies, meaning the water. That's not including the fuel that it'll take to get there. That's not including the rocket itself, but it's including what it's carrying.
Right.
Everything that it's transporting. So it could take 37,000 pounds, right? So that's pretty heavy. I mean, that's a pretty big.
Oh man, that's pretty hefty, and they're gonna have to make something already much heavier than that before they launch all the way to Mars, for sure.
Oh yeah.
And they just have to send something that heavy that far, and life-sustaining in that fast of a time. That's crazy. That's crazy. I'm just tripping out because of that picture you showed me. That picture was super sci-fi. It really reminded me of like the little module from 2001: A Space Odyssey.
That's what it looks like,
yeah,
dude. And I'm sure
exactly like that.
That's where they pulled.
No, that's where they got the direct inspiration for sure.
Yeah.
We knew that if it was ever going to become a reality, that of course they're going to grab all the shit that we like from sci-fi movies because they were living those moments too. But it's just trippy to see it just be like scientifically real also. Like if you have enough money, eventually you could just get a little, hey, you could take a trip around the moon, you know, as a human being. Like that's an option as a human being on this planet where you can just be like, hey, I want to go take a trip around the moon. I want to go see what the moon looks like up close, you know?
So Falcon Heavy is basically 3 Falcon 9 boosters for the first stage.
Mm-hmm.
It's a central core and then 2 on the outside. But the central core isn't one that they re-land. It's only the 2 on the outside that they land and reuse. But so each one of those is a Falcon 9, essentially.
Yeah.
And then so combining 3 makes Falcon Heavy. And I forgot they did do the test on it. And that's the one test that we saw where the 2 landed simultaneously.
Yeah.
That was the Falcon Heavy test.
I got you. That's a crazy. I mean, that in itself is just crazy.
Yeah, it's super crazy. And then SpaceX is also going to be. They're also developing the BFR, which is the big Falcon rocket.
BFR is such a stupid name for that.
Well, I think initially it was like they wanted it to just be big fucking rocket.
Okay.
But
that's kind of what I was thinking in my head. Damn,
right.
They fucking fooled me like that.
Right. So, but instead they just put Falcon because obviously it's
that's the internet age, right?
Well, it just continues with what they're what they're doing.
That's funny though. Okay.
But what they're planning with the BFR is pretty nuts because with orbital refueling, right, they can send a payload of 222,000 pounds to Mars.
Fuck.
So I'm assuming BFR is what Mars 1 is really going to be using for the most part to send the bulk of the shit to Mars. Like the habitats, the supplies. Mm-hmm. And then, but that rocket, I mean, pushing something that's 220,000 pounds.
Yeah.
That's, they'll be able to push that whatever large size capsule for those astronauts.
Not even that, but they can start sending like the that means they can easily send the robotics up there to start building those habitats. That's what's crazy to me too. It's just like, damn, they could already start pushing that like immediately.
Definitely.
Like if they wanted to, if they wanted to today, they could fly, they could shoot something to Mars realistically and start building that shit. Of course it would take some time. But I mean, the launch could happen.
Yeah, and recently, SpaceX actually changed their design for BFR, and this is what it looks like now.
Oh my god! For people that are listening, that shit just looks like a bullet.
Wow.
Like, that makes me feel weird because it's like we're just launching a bullet at a planet.
And I mean, it's only shaped like that I'm assuming to escape orbit. To escape Earth, right? To get out the atmosphere. It looks like those old-timey rockets, huh? Like the V2 rocket, like from World War II, the German rocket. You know, those, like how you would draw a rocket?
No, that's just like a
cartoon,
toy.
Like it's like a cartoon.
A toy every kid had.
Yeah, it's a cartoon
At
rocket.
some point in their life, it was just like a rocket. It might not have even been silver. It could have been like an orange or full-on green.
Yeah, it could have been.
But it was a cool toy to have, remember, back then? And it was just basically a rocket just painted.
Yeah.
Your little imagination turned it into anything you wanted.
Whatever it was. Yeah, it was a rocket.
It was flying through whatever the fuck. Yeah.
It was going... It was going under the ocean. It was going up in outer space.
It went a lot of places.
It sure did.
Probably to a point where you're like, don't touch that rocket anymore.
No, I don't know about that.
No. I don't even mean like that. That was a good one. No, I don't even mean like that.
Well, and that ends today's episode.
Yeah, like right on that. No. I just meant like that shit probably had collected so many germs because just as a kid, their toys are so grimy. I get weird about thinking about my son's toys sometimes. Like, it's just like, some of these toys have not been cleaned for years, and they've been sitting at the bottom of piles. Just collecting dust and just grossness. I don't know. Maybe there is a lot of, like, nastiness just on toys alone.
Yeah, toys are
and
probably big-time germ carriers.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah. So... That's why every once in a while you just gotta get rid of all your kids' toys. How you do it? That's a little pot of gold. Just trying to figure out the key way to do it for all kids.
Yeah.
How would you do it? You just like when they go to school, just clean out the whole room.
I mean, that probably seems like the best way, right?
When they come back home, just leave it all fucked up, trick them, and just be like, "Hey, we got robbed."
Oh shit!
They only decided to take your toys.
I actually just came across some news that I haven't heard about. My bad to cut you off, but
no, it doesn't matter.
Well, we were talking about Mars 1 this whole time, and
continue on that.
This article that came out February 13th, so just a month ago.
Fairly recent.
A month ago.
Okay.
Mars 1 has declared bankruptcy.
Oh, well, then. That's the end of the podcast, folks. Like, it doesn't even matter.
Shit. Oh, you guys wasted my goddamn time. Take down your fucking website, man. What the hell? Waste my whole damn time.
No, but it's going to happen no matter what.
Man.
Yeah.
The company sought to create a colony of humans on Mars, sending people there as soon as 2025 on a budget of $6 billion. It was widely mocked in the scientific community as unserious and likened to Fire Festival. Oh shit! They were about to get them cabanas on Mars.
Wow.
Man, come on, Mars One. I spent this whole episode talking about you.
No. But it's gonna happen anyway. Like somebody's gonna realize, okay, we just need to make it. Now we just need to sell it as a serious concept.
Oh my God! I forgot about this part too. Mars One, the company that promised to send people to Mars on a one-way trip that will be funded by a reality TV show about them starting a human colony there, has declared bankruptcy. Imagine that Truman Show of a show, man. That should have been crazy.
That would have been funny. That would have actually been hilarious.
That would have been
hilarious.
That would have been probably like the #1 watch show.
That's what I'm saying.
Time.
That I was just thinking that, and I was like, that would have been perfect for this age. Right now
for
to
the
drop.
Reality show generation. Man, people on Mars.
That would be the greatest thing.
It would be fucked up because by season 2, when people start dying and shit because of some fake drawn up fucking, like, people won't even be dead. They would just be like banished to another capsule, but they just gotta say they're dead for the show and shit like that.
Like the radiation sickness got him.
Yeah, the producer just wanted to write him out. They just wanted to create some drama, and then he just pops back up like 6 months later, like, "What's up, bitches? I'm back.
It was a dream." Boop. It just pops back in.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah, I mean it'll eventually get bad, but but you're right. That's something that would probably blow up because it's just funny. It's silly.
In 2013, they opened up applications for prospective astronauts. 200,000 people applied for a one-way ticket to Mars.
Yeah, I only imagine that people want to get that started. Yeah. They want to be the pioneers to it. And, of course, they know it's to their certain death regardless, right? That's so it. Wild. You know that you're making a decision in your mind like, I'm going to live out the rest of my life on Mars, on a different planet.
Dude.
On a different planet.
How could you come to that idea? You're like, man, I'm going to just go to Mars and fucking disappear forever because I'll probably run out of water tomorrow.
Right.
Right? You're like, damn, I ran out of water. I ran out of oxygen.
No, like I think you have to have more of like an adventurous spirit, even as an astronaut, to just be like, no, we're gonna figure it out. Like, right, like the first explorers had to make that decision, right? They were just like, we're gonna not be near a hut that's safe, or we could create a fire in a fireplace, and just go out there in the wild with a pack and figure it out, and figure out what we can eat. How many people you think died out there eating like wild berries or like a plant that they thought was okay?
Yeah, imagine all the people that died eating mushrooms. Those poisonous mushrooms.
Yeah. There's some extremely poisonous mushrooms out there, and some people just get pushed on the brink. Like, you see those shows that are like, I mean, they're already super fake now, but like the Bear Grylls and shit where he's out in the wild, right? But he has a film crew with him the whole time, so he's never really in any danger. So he's taking these risks. But are they considered mild risks, or either way, it's just for show value, right?
Yeah.
Like, either way, it's just for show value. But what they're putting out there, but the original explorers, basically, they had to go on that mission on their own.
They had
to go do that, and they had to make that decision.
Learn.
Yeah, on their own, and shit. Do you think that the ones that wrote about it or had the most information about it are the ones that truly survived all that, or the ones that just kept collecting all the stories from all the dudes that died? Shit, that could have happened.
I mean, yeah, like there's always going to be someone that's going to
write the book.
Right, because they're not going to have the balls enough to live the life, right? So they're going to just write about the dudes that did live the life, or the chicks.
What if he was just living at the cafe where all these explorer dudes like would meet up, like an outpost?
At the pub? Pub somewhere?
Yeah, he was just at the pub, and when the explorers were getting real fucked up, they were just spilling out all their stories and shit. He was taking little pages out of their journals. And wrote the book.
Yeah. I mean, that's
part of it too.
Yeah,
that's an element of it.
That's part of it.
That's an element of it that nobody thinks about. Yeah.
It's just how that shit flows.
That's funny.
But I guess that wraps up episode 9. the We Don't Know Stuff podcast.
Interesting.
So if you've been following along throughout this episode, you'll understand that now I'm actually really pissed at Mars One. I spent all that time talking about what they plan to do, and then kind of find out they actually filed for bankruptcy last week, or they declared bankruptcy last week. So, I mean last month. Sorry, but yeah.
Isn't that what Boring Company did though?
No, that's Elon's, right?
No, but or the one that was what was the company where he was gonna have the underground?
Yeah, Boring Company.
That was Boring Company. Yeah. Didn't he file for bankruptcy, but he still worked? You know what I mean? Like they're still keeping it alive.
I don't know. Did they file for? I don't think so.
No, it never filed for bankruptcy. Okay.
Yeah,
okay, maybe I'm confusing it. Okay.
They weren't even really a real crazy.
Oh
company.
no! What they did was shut it down. My bad.
Yeah.
They just shut out. Yeah, they just shut down funding that project for a while.
They probably figured it wasn't viable anyway.
Mm-hmm.
LA wasn't trying to play the game, probably.
I mean, that's a crazy idea.
What's cool though is that I didn't expect this was gonna happen, but I guess Governor Newsom decided that high-speed train to the Bay Area we're axing that shit. So we've literally just built the train to nowhere.
Well, didn't they originally want to do it to Vegas? Remember?
Yeah, but then they figured
get there in an hour.
Well, the thing is, they want to do it to Vegas, and doing it to Vegas probably is the better idea anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why they didn't do it to Vegas is because it wasn't a private company that's going to be doing it. It's going to be the state, so they're not going to build you a road to take you out of state.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I mean, they'll build you roads to go out of state, but they're not going to build this project to take you out of state. If anything, it's going to connect the top of the state with the bottom of the state. That was the plan. Right. Because that long drive through the central part of California.
It just didn't make sense for them.
Right.
It didn't make sense for the big industry part of it. So
yeah. So
just cut that out.
What happened is the project has just reached so many cost overruns that it's just become unfundable.
So they were just like, we're just gonna cut that
especially
out.
when California politicians just seem to make money just magically disappear. We're like the highest or the second highest tax state. It's either us or New York. It always goes back and forth between the two of us. But we're the highest tax state essentially, and it's like they don't have money for anything. The roads are all fucked up. We don't have water. I mean, everything is terrible here. Gas prices are ridiculously high. Everything is crazy here. It's ridiculously crazy here. Taxes are high. I mean, cost of living out here is crazy high.
But it's debt, like state debt, that goes into oblivion because.
But it's so crazy.
Even though that's a funny term to use, because it's just true. It's so deep in it that it. But it's just a term.
But the thing is, California's GDP is like better than most countries. Like, in fact, our GDP ranks in the top 5 of the world, top 10 of the world. And that include, like, if you just take us out of the United States, we rank in that high category just as California alone.
Yeah, globally.
We feed the entire United States for the most part. I mean, and, we get water out of, Colorado hooks us up with water. Nevada, Arizona, they hook us up with water. But, yeah, like.
So if you would ever divide, like the country, would you divide it by states, like state-run governments, or would you just split it in like regions, like kind of like how you explained, like we kind of need Colorado a little bit, we kind of need.
I mean, but that's something that the states work out individually.
Right.
I actually like the system that the founding fathers set up, where it's just where I believe in states' rights, and I believe that states have every right to make the type of decisions that they want to make and hold any type of laws or rules within their state. So I believe more in state rights, and I believe that the federal government has now become too big, too strong, too powerful. So I feel like giving more power back to the states seems a lot more better, a lot better situation
overall for just like the
for
communities.
Everybody. Yeah, for the communities within those states. Yeah. Because if we have to follow guidelines, not even here, if somewhere in like let's say Kentucky, where there's not a lot of people, you know, like in one of these small towns, they got to follow laws and rules and regulations that really only apply to big cities. But since they become federal regulations, or I can't think of one off top, which kind of sucks now.
It doesn't matter. You're just forcing small communities to work under big, big city regulations.
And that's the issue with, because a lot of people after this election too, a lot of people are saying like, we want to get rid of the electoral college, and we believe that that it should be by the popular vote, right?
Right.
And to a lot of people, that seems like it makes the most sense, right? One vote is all that should matter. Like your vote counts in that regard, right?
Right. That's the belief. Yeah.
But the issue is in the big cities, New York, Los Angeles, you know,
the big metropolitan areas.
Right. The really big cities, right? Even Dallas,
Seattle,
Houston,
very dense areas.
Right. These big cities, a lot of them lean left. So that means they vote blue. They're with the Democrats. Right. Because in big cities, it's typically, I don't know why it works like that, but that seems how it's working out. They
seem to be a bit liberal, yeah.
It just comes together like that. And typically people in rural areas are kind of conservative, and they have different values and different views on how things should operate because they live different type of lives. They're typically blue collar workers.
It's been instilled.
It's a different type of
for
life.
A long time.
It's a different life, right? But if those people have to adhere to what the popular vote is always going to be where the big metropolitan areas is, because that's where all the people are.
Yeah, where all the it's a densely populated area with just humans in general that have to vote.
And the only way that those small communities get represented is through the electoral college.
Right.
So that's the issue that I have when people say like we need to get rid of the electoral college. It's like you're only saying that because your person lost that vote. Your person won the popular vote, so you believe that they should win. But it's like but it's only the people that live in the big areas, the big cities, that think like that.
Of course.
Right? The people that live in these small towns where it's like 1,300 people that live there. There's some counties that are like that probably only got like 1,500 people in the county, even like less.
It's real dark outside at night.
Right? So you're telling me that they don't need to be represented too? You know, they should be represented too.
Yeah.
Right? They should have a voice too, not just, you know, the 20 million people in a big city, the 10 million people in a big city. You know, like they live a whole different life.
It just doesn't function as evenly for everybody. Right. Of course not. But everybody's voting from a different perspective. It's almost like a multi-dimensional vote. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Kind of.
So I mean, it is essentially. So that's why the electoral college is definitely important, especially in today's modern age. There are definitely ways they could improve in which way we vote by making it more accessible to people, right? I mean, obviously you can vote by mail. That's fine.
What if you could vote by app?
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I think should be the thing.
Yeah, because that's how everybody does everything anyway.
The only problem is then you would need a third-party service to manage that.
That's no, of course. There would be some regulation issues involved, of course. I'm sure.
And the only problem is no matter what, there's always the human element. And humans will always have a bias. And humans will always be biased, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So if anybody has access to the records of that app, their bias could allow them to possibly manipulate those numbers.
Man, just human hands on anything.
Right, exactly.
Just spoil anything.
But then it's the same thing, I guess, for counting ballots, right? Counting physical ballots.
It's the same thing. It's even the same thing for voting.
Right.
Like, let's just say the problem with that app, too, could be this. Let's just say you open that app and you're just feeling a certain way that day.
Yeah.
And you're just like, you know what? It's very easy to just be like, whoop, a little swipe to vote for this guy.
Yeah.
Whoop, you voted for that guy because you were feeling that type of way right there. But you have no idea. You've never even seen a speech by him. You don't even understand his ideals. It wouldn't matter.
But also
that's the risk. That's the weird risk, I think.
But my counter to that would be, in the app, when you select a person, you can click on the person. It takes you to a couple videos that they have, so you can see the things. It takes you to a list of their views.
Of course. But how many people are going to elect to press that?
I mean, it would be when you go to select the person, it would open up and it would show you their page, and you'd have to see who it is. Like, because right now, like, you open the little voter guide that they send you, and it's like a little paragraph about the person, and you don't really get the full
they can only put so much. Right. You have to print so many.
But if you have an app, for instance, you have links to YouTube videos, or they can upload videos to the app. The candidates could be able to upload videos to the app, or, you know, you could obviously have the bio, but you could also have their accomplishments.
That's definitely like a way to make it beneficial. Yeah.
Right. So that way because there's a lot of people that just go in and vote based on if they have a D next to their name or R next to their name.
That's what I'm saying. Like, those guys are going to come in anyway. I guess those guys are going to come in anyway.
And the thing is, if anybody out of California is listening to this, you guys might not have it like this, but when we go into the voter box and it's time to vote for a governor or a president or something in this state, there's like 7-8 Democrats, right? It's like, so if I'm just voting straight on the party and I'm just voting for a Democrat, then which one do I pick, right? So eventually people are just, I don't get why they do that. That just dilutes their own votes. But that's another topic. But what I want to see is,
like, inviting 8.
I want to see awareness of candidates. I want to see people learn who the candidates are and what they stand for, and hear them speak and talk about the issues that they're strongly about. And the only way to do that nowadays is through, right? I mean, all the candidates use social media.
I guess you'd be able to force it through that app, but, like, what if it would draw people away from that app too? Like, fuck, if I just to vote, I have to watch the fucking video.
Nobody said you have to watch
it, or whatever.
But I'm saying when you click on it, you have those options. Right now, when you go to the voters booth, first of all, when you go to the voter booth,
I see.
When you go to the voter booth, all you have is your little pen or whatever, and you make your mark. That's it.
You're saying progress is progress, no matter what. Like, as long as you already at least introduced the option.
Right, because right now, when you walk into the voters booth, if you don't have that little book, if you didn't get that book in the mail, or you just forgot it or whatever, and you didn't check up on the candidates, then you walk into that voter booth and you just see a list of names, and next to their names is their party name, and you're like, fuck, I forget which one, or I didn't look it up. Man, fuck it, this dude got the D. That's good enough, right?
No,
this dude got the R.
Yeah.
This chick got the I.
You just get a little shook at the voters booth even, and you make a selection.
Right.
But that goes to my original thing. And then about also that app. On the app, you just make like a dumb decision.
And then
like
also that too is, you go to the fucking voter booth. You got to go wait in line. You got to go stand there with all them people. Some people don't want to do that. Sometimes, like, you're coming home from work. You know, you leave to work early. The voter booth ain't open. Mm-hmm. Right? You go to work. You get out of work 5, 6 o'clock. The voter booth closes 8, I think. So you have to come straight there to the voter booth after you got off of work. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's say you have to drive all the way from across L.A., right? You know, driving across L.A. at 5, 6 o'clock. That's like an hour and a half. Oh, my God. That's an hour and a half to go 15 miles. It's crazy.
And the problem is everybody's doing the exact same thing as you.
And so everybody's going to the voter booth, so everything is crazy. Right, and everybody's trying to get there before 8. So that eliminates that shit. It eliminates that shit. And, I think I think it's a much better idea to just make it easily accessible. It's an app that anybody can download on their phone.
I mean, it happens for everything else already.
Exactly.
Like, you can, like, what, with Postmates, you could get items sent to you, right? Like, Uber Eats, you could get food to you. We're already at that level. Like,
exactly. So let's just, you could get weed delivered to you.
You get anything delivered to you,
right,
man.
Through your app.
Crazy.
Through your app. You could, like, dude, I could go on an app on my phone, and I could look up where the dispensaries are at. I can go click on the dispensary, check out their menu, check out their deals, check out their social medias.
Right.
Call them or send them an email if I have to. Right? Like, why can't I vote like that?
You can order it. Like, you make a phone order for food. Like,
and a lot. And
can
now
I place an order for pickup.
And now on Weed Maps, you can actually place online orders. So
see.
for some dispensaries, for participating dispensaries, I see. But
I mean, whatever. But the point is, the technology's there to.
But if I can get weed that easily, why can't I just vote that easy? Especially when I only vote once every 4 years, right? Or well, every 2 if you're voting for state and right. feds, right? So every 2 years I'm voting, right? But it's only something that I do for like it takes anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes out of my day to go do. If I had it on an app,
it's a painful.
Well, because what I'm thinking too is on the app, like you have the app early as the election campaign is going on before election day, right? And throughout that time, you could sit there and study the candidates, get to know them, figure out, and a lot of that shit would happen within the app.
Right.
In my opinion, that's probably the best way to solve the low voter turnouts. It's the best way to solve a lot of issues. I mean, because look, I've done Postmates. If I can deliver liquor to someone,
yeah,
right?
That's crazy.
Wait, I could. So when I pick up the liquor, I go to the liquor store, right? Whatever participating liquor store is, or Bevmo or whatever, right? I go in there, I get the order, I show them my ID so they know that I'm of age, right?
Be of age, right?
Okay, boom, because they're a store, so they have to sell alcohol to people of age, so they sell me my shit. Then I go to deliver it to the person. Then they show me their ID. They give me their ID. I take my phone with the Postmates app. Okay. I scan their ID, right? It just.
I always wondered how they regulate it. So I'm really interested in it.
It just scans their ID front and back, and then the app will tell me if it's approved. The app tells me it's approved. Then I just hand them their alcohol and their ID back, and I'm out.
What happens if it's not approved?
I don't know. I haven't been there yet.
You just keep a bottle? You're like, oh, shit. All right, cool.
I mean, but imagine trying to tell somebody, like, nah, I can't give you this bottle.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, do you even walk up to their... Well, you already have to scan their shit, right?
Right. So I don't know if it actually scans it in terms of actually scanning the barcode to check if it's a valid ID, or if it just actually scans it by taking a picture of it and just adding it to the database to make sure. I
think it just takes a picture of it.
Yeah.
Because when I have to add my credit card, because recently my card, there's always some fraud. So I had some fraud involved with the card, and I had to get it changed. So a lot of accounts needed to switch over, right? And I was like, I don't care. They alert you nowadays, so it's not. They'll let you know. They'll be like, "Whoops, we charged your account and it missed." I'm like, "Oh yeah, they're charging that old card. I got a new card." So I'm like, "Fuck, I gotta go through the steps to add the card again, whatever." Now you just go on there and it asks if you want to use your phone camera, and it just scans your card.
Oh, that's perfect.
And it takes the whole information down. It just goes floop.
That's perfect.
You get your name, everything. So yeah, they could definitely do that. That's the point I was trying to make by that.
So that's the thing is, all you would need to vote within the app is your ID, right?
They'd be able to get all that information.
You can use the app and access the candidates, the causes, the propositions, all of that. You could access that all election season long, right? Maybe let's say starting 6 months out from the election, that's when the app opens up and all the information is in and whatever, right? So you could start reviewing that information then. And then 1 week before the election, it opens up to where you scan your ID. It gives you the option to scan your ID, and once you scan your ID, you're able to vote.
Full access,
right? To vote.
That's your key to have full access. Okay, but it has to be like a live picture. They have to be able to confirm that it's a live picture. I think they, of course, they'll have the ability to do that. I think they already do, of course. But yeah.
I mean, you could always do that too. It could always be a picture, but I was just thinking ID. But it could be a picture like, I know when I signed up for one of the cryptocurrency exchanges, I actually had to take a picture of me holding up a sign that said, I think what the exchange name was, the name of the exchange I was joining, and the date that I was uploading the picture.
Oh, man.
Right? So I did that, and then I got approved.
Slave number here. 2,300. Yeah. They just put a barcode on your forehead, and that was it.
Pretty much.
Oh, shit.
Pretty much.
Well, at least I know you're part of the Matrix now.
Here comes some broke motherfucker.
Oh
Pretty
man.
much.
But they could do all of that through your phone camera now.
Right. So that's all I'm saying is, if you want to hear something else crazy too, what else you could do with your phone camera?
Yeah, there's crazy
So,
shit. Okay.
If you get NBA 2K, right, and then and you get for PlayStation, PC, Xbox, whatever you get it for, right, and then you get the NBA 2K companion app, right?
Okay. For your cell phone.
For your phone.
Okay.
Right. You can use the camera within the app to scan your face and upload your face into the game onto your creative player.
You have to explain to people how you just swung the phone in front of your face.
Well, because you have to get like
like you have to do like a panoramic,
essentially, of your face.
Oh,
you can either camera around your face, but the best way to do it is have the camera stable, and then you just like look at it straight, and then turn to the left, turn to the right. Okay, and that's it.
Yeah, that makes more sense that people will grasp it on that.
Right, because it just wants
scan, but
it just wants to get the full image of your face, the dimension, so it can upload it.
That new iPad doesn't have a button, right, anymore, supposedly. Mm-hmm. So it already does a face scan. Yeah. So they already know. They already have that face scan.
Yeah, it's crazy. Actually. Like, finally, Apple caught up and got the face scan. That's good for them.
But it's so good that they're able to eliminate a whole button. Like, fuck, it's weird. There is something weird about not having a button on there. And you think about it right now, you're like, what? I never needed a button. You're like, I've never needed a button, but until you get your hands on it, you're like, where's the fucking button?
There's still buttons on the side, though, right?
Yeah, there's still buttons on the side, but not on the screen. Yeah, but just not on the screen. And the problem with Apple shit is that you always see, because you're used to Android, as am I. For my mobile device, I choose Android. But for all the home shit, I have, Apple. Yeah, because I have a son, too. Yeah, because I have a son, too, and he has an iPad, and all of that shit is multifunctional. I even have Apple TV. Right.
Single button.
And that one button will take you back home, no matter what. Mm-hmm. So that's why you miss it, because that's like your
But there'll just be an on-screen counterpart now, or
no, whatever. It's strictly that face detection.
Oh, yeah.
And to get home, you just swipe now from the bottom. Yeah, that's what you're talking about.
So it's you still have to command it.
No, yeah. You'll get used to that, but the weird shit is that unlocking it now, I don't think you can put a code. I think you can only face unlock it. They're forcing that, pretty much.
Well, yeah, because they want that face scan. They want that. They want to put you in the database.
Yeah, they want to make sure you're in the grid. Is that what
they're trying to put you in the database.
They're trying to put you in the grid. Oh, man. I think that was an interesting episode. Yeah. I had fun doing this episode.
We tried to end it, but then got caught up on some other. So,
this is the kind of episode it was, but this was an interesting episode. I enjoyed being on.
So fuck Mars 1.
Doing this episode, being on this episode, yeah.
I guess that's why.
Yeah, you got on your tangent because fuck Mars 1, because all of that noise and all of that lovely promotion. But my point too is that it's gonna happen anyway. Who cares? Somebody knows that it got that close. Like now there's just so there's a few steps to legitimize it. Pretty much now you just have to package it better.
Now we need a government to just step in at this point and give them the freedom to let them do it. Yeah. Like to let people to let the companies do it. But that's the problem, is getting government approval to take part in these industries.
That's always going to be the problem.
Yeah. So that's a little bit of a hurdle, I think, for now. But I think SpaceX is on the right track with their rockets, with what they're doing. And you got Blue Origin, that's Jeff Bezos, the owner of Amazon. That's his company.
Wow. What is he pushing?
Yeah, he got rockets too. He got a rocket company too.
That's already going to has
they're like in Long Beach or Signal Hill or something like that.
Oh shit.
Something like that. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. It's called Blue Origins. They're doing rockets too.
I might have seen
that can land themselves too. They're on that same little mission, but they're trying to do different types of. They're not their goal isn't to try to go
strictly
to other planets.
Mars.
Yeah, they're not trying to go to other planets. They're more so trying to go to just low Earth orbit.
And just really, what is their goal though? To just give more information, maybe, or just to?
I'm not exactly sure what they're planning. I'm assuming it's something similar along the lines of SpaceX, but they just want to be a cheaper, smaller option. They want to be like the Toyota to the Maserati type of shit. They want to be like a little bit cheaper. Well, not a little bit.
And you get a little taste of space if you're out there, right?
Right. But Bezos, his idea of space isn't necessarily being multi-planet species.
No, it's
he
just...
thinks more of he thinks a more viable solution would be to do like just giant space stations, like 2001 style shit.
That Elysium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
what that's kind of what he's on. So that's why I think they're building
sense,
for
though.
smaller, for not long trips, just shorter trips, but they want to do reusability, because if they're going to be able to build these space stations, they have to be able to go up and down and up and down. Like, it's got to be able to go and come back and go and come back.
Wow.
And then you got that Bronson dude, the Virgin Galactic.
Yeah, he's been doing it for a long time.
He got his shit, but that one's going to be like, that one's, I think, set up to be like a touristy one.
No, that's definitely a touristy one, because if you've ever flown on one of his on a Virgin Atlantic, just the airline.
No, I haven't.
Oh man, it looks like the studio.
All pink and shit like that.
No, yeah, pink and purple lights and all this shit.
I've seen pictures, yeah.
It actually feels nice. I'm not gonna lie. At first, like, of course, years before I had even flown on it and it was being sold, I was like, oh god, the commercialization of it is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, why do you gotta make it look like a nightclub? That's what I felt like seeing the ads. Like, why does it have to look like a nightclub? It's just a fucking plane flight.
But it's like when you're on them long ass flights, man.
No, it's nice on the eyes. Yeah, that's what it is. It's just nice on the eyes, on the mood. You're just like,
it's a better mood. Really, it's a better feeling.
Yeah, so I was on one of those flights at night. It was like a red-eye flight too. It happened to be, and yeah, it was nice. It was a nice little mood. You were just relaxed. Fuck, I forgot where I was going. I'm wondering if it was with. Yeah, it had to be with someone with family. So I'm trying to figure out who I was with. But sometimes, like, I've flown back on my own as a separate flight, just apart. So I don't know. I get lost in those, but that's why it was crazy, because it almost felt surreal like that, because you were just relaxed. You're in the zone while you were flying. Yeah, and it was at night, so there was no. Right. Even if you opened up the windows, like, you weren't gonna see anything outside. Yeah.
So it kind of gives
maybe
you
you saw some city lights.
It gives you a much more comfortable feeling for sure.
Yeah. So anytime I ever imagined his space travel stuff, I imagined it was gonna be like that. Yeah, it's just very cushy, very like nice vibey, and you get to see space. That shit would be awesome. I think he would probably do it the best from that aspect, like for like really getting like people up there, like regular like commercialization of it, I guess.
Yeah, just don't.
The true.
I mean, I guess like for me, like I don't see. I mean, I see that people would want to do it, of course. Who wouldn't?
No, like people like you and me would never want that. I'm not saying that.
I mean, I would, but I don't know if I would ever want to spend that money for that.
I mean, we're not attracted to that, is what I mean.
But if it was a way for me,
it's not our thing, but there's a.
But I'm just trying to say, if it was like, I got on that shit and I flew up, right, went into space, but instead of coming back, like, I took that to Japan or something. You know what I'm saying? If it becomes a new form of travel instead of like a basic airplane.
Instead of just going up there and just making it Disneyland, pretty much.
Right. Instead of it being just a ride and attraction and you come back. Yeah, it actually be a form of transportation. Right. If that's the goal, which I'm not sure what his goals are for it, but if that's the goal, then I like that. I really like that.
It would fucking kill. I didn't even think about that aspect until
because
right now, but it would kill on travel.
That's what I'm saying. That's the only way to work.
Imagine
I think financially
how fast,
in the long run. Because once the hype dies, it's a wrap.
You'll be able to get somewhere.
Yeah,
at that rate.
Fast, dude.
Like, what do you think? Like, let's say Los Angeles to, what's a long flight? Maybe to Japan. How long is that? Like a fucking 15, 16-hour flight, right? Maybe?
Yeah, it's probably longer.
It's probably longer than that.
Probably longer.
Do you think that space rocket or that kind of like jumping that high into orbit, how long do you think they could cut that down? Like maybe an hour?
No, it would be way more than an hour. They would cut down. Or you're
saying
cut it down
to an hour, yeah.
No.
Like it's just 1 hour to get to fucking Japan now.
No, it would probably still be like...
That would be crazy.
Because a flight from LAX to Tokyo is about 12 hours. 12-hour flight.
12 hours, but that's a direct flight, right?
Well...
Right, and that's what we're talking about. We're talking about direct flights.
Yeah. I mean, as direct as you can get.
No, I'm saying because if you could get caught up in looking for a flight and seeing the ones that aren't direct, like where you got to bounce around, and it'll be like a 20 hours flying.
No.
You're gonna spend 20 hours flying to get to Japan cut costs.
It's a 12-hour flight.
Direct.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
From LAX to Tokyo.
So do you think they could cut that 12-hour flight to 1 hour?
No.
Whew.
No.
Because you think it'll still take that length of time to get up there?
It takes 1 hour for a ballistic missile, intercontinental ballistic missile, to travel that far.
Okay.
It takes about an hour and a half for one to travel that far. So, and that's an intercontinental ballistic missile. That's going to be way faster than the Virgin Galactic spaceships. So I would say 3-4 hours. 5 hours. That's still a cool ass flight. It's still shorter than flying from here to Hawaii now.
And you get to see space.
Yeah, and the sick ass views of Earth that you never got to see before.
Yeah, that's true. Fuck it. Right. On that aspect, hell yeah, I'll take that flight. It's like 100%.
a $10,000 ticket.
As a matter of fact, I probably want more. My problem is I'd want more time up there. Yeah. Then they would probably provide.
I think that's a good amount of time, though, too. A couple hours.
To give you perspective?
Yeah.
Like, just be like, fuck.
And you just go fly up.
Do you think if you did that, you'd come back to Earth a lot happier? Like, I don't even just mean a lot happier for yourself, but just for everybody, like, just for the world. Like, you just be, like, sort of a better version of yourself a little bit. Based on that perspective. On the idea of that, obviously, because you'd need to get it to really know.
I mean,
I think some people could feel it already.
If you listen to what every astronaut says after the first time they experience space, it's always the same. It's always the same feeling or reaction that you get from them. So I would assume that even though you won't.
What's the reaction?
I mean, just excitement, wonder, joy, and then you come to a realization that, you're very insignificant, right? And then you also understand how fragile life is and the existence that we have, how lucky we are to actually just be here. Like that seems to be the common theme amongst astronauts when they speak about their first time in space.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that you would have a similar perspective, even though you won't actually travel into legit space.
Yeah, like it's like I imagine it would be like a densely spiritual moment. And I mean, regardless.
Right.
Regardless.
I mean, I would imagine that first time like you experience weightlessness, it's like
that must be crazy. I didn't even think of that. But
right. Like just that first time you feel it, like
oh man.
I can only imagine like your brain would just go into overdrive. Right, just so many thoughts would just be flying through your head.
Well, your first reaction would just be very reactionary. It'd be instinctive. It'd probably be a weird reaction. Like you're trying to catch yourself.
Yeah, you'd probably be scared.
And it'd be very reactionary and based on your memories of just being in a gravity and a high gravity environment.
So I imagine that would be the point where it first hits you. Where you're
I think that's when I would just start feeling like more insignificant, because I'd just be like, oh shit, like what the hell, like I'm just like a little speck of dust, kind of just floating in the air.
And then you realize how much that
in the air that is this whole.
But then you realize how much that Earth means to you.
No, of course,
as a human.
Of course, that's what I'm saying. Like once you internalize it like that, that's when you start appreciating all of that.
Now you're not safe on Earth anymore.
Oh, no.
Right.
You've never been safe.
Well, yeah, you're not safe here, but imagine how unsafe you are in space.
Super unsafe. But do you think all of
this float away?
Well, that goes back to my old, to my previous episode simulation theory, right?
Yeah.
But you don't agree with it.
No,
right?
I don't.
No. Because to me, it's like, what if we're all just creating this then? What if all of this is just motivation?
Man, yesterday...
To just keep the energy burning within us.
Yesterday...
To just keep flying.
I was
just alive.
In the drive-thru at the Habit.
and you just had a life-changing moment? I love this.
No.
Like an epiphany, yeah. An epiphany.
Me and my girl saw, like, the bees flying around like some bushes where there were some flowers or whatever. I think they were rosemary bushes. And she's like, oh, yeah, like, look at the bees. Da, da, da. And then we were talking about, like, you know, how the bees are dying and how they pollinate all the plants and how we actually need them. Bees, right. How we need them. And then I started thinking about, like, it just hit me in my head. I'm like, man, no fucking way is this a simulation. And the bees, like, really, like, hit me, like, with, I'm like, there's no way this is a simulation because, like, dude, like, that means, like, all these plants had to be programmed. Every single leaf had to be programmed. Every single molecule had to be programmed. All the way up to the bees, like, how they think, how they act. Like, all of this is all programmed. And we don't even understand any of that shit realistically. Like, we understand small percentages of all of it. And to say that, like, it's a simulation is, to me, is just such a fucking stretch. I really feel like we're just...
Isn't that where quantum computing is heading, though?
Yeah.
So
essentially,
all of that will pretty much be solved by that.
Maybe,
yeah. Of course, theoretically, but it's a strong push.
Maybe. My thing, too, is, I don't know, man. I can't...
It's just too hard for you to grasp it, of course. I get that, because it's just so many processes happening.
It's just way too many processes happening, in my opinion. Like, even down to, like the stain on the garage ceiling here. Like, I mean...
Yeah, but how many times has it been the same stain? And what if it's a different color than you always thought?
But the stain always grows because of when the rain happens. It always gets a little bit bigger, a little bit darker, a little bit different.
So you're just saying just the fact that there's a slight difference. But that could be part of the program, too. It's why not?
I get it, but it just doesn't...
And why...
There's too many things to program. Why are you programming the stain? For what? Just for me to talk about on this episode of this podcast? So that stain has been programmed to be put there over the course of a couple years just for me to bring it up in thought and theory of this show?
No, because...
That's what I'm saying. Like, come on, man.
What if it just treats existence or the awareness of existence as just a raw form of energy, though? And whatever consciousness just happened, what if consciousness happened by accident? Could that be? I mean, maybe.
Okay, in terms of consciousness, we're talking about...
Like awareness.
Right.
I'm just going to say awareness.
Right, okay.
How about I just say awareness?
But, I mean, you agree, right, that we create the world around us?
No, of course. 100%.
So if we are creating the world around us, then how are we in a simulation? Is the simulation...
What if the simulation is ourselves? Yeah.
I don't... Maybe I'm just too dumb to understand it, but I just don't get... I'm happy we kind of came back to it, but I just don't get...
It's crazy, that's why. But it's...
I mean, because it seems, honestly, my honest opinion, it just seems like too simple of an explanation. It's just like when, like, the super religious people be like, oh, it's just God. It's God's will. God did it. Like,
or he's watching over us. Like, that's why it's meant for a reason.
That's too simple.
Which is fine, yeah.
Too fucking simple of an explanation. And in my opinion, like, I think evolution is a much more... I think we're just a random mix of goop.
But I don't know, because that's like... you can also find simplicity and spirituality without dogma, though, too. I think you can eliminate dogma, too, and simplify it as itself, too. Because, like, instead of... Like, in the replacement would be... Instead of, like, under dogmatic rule, it would be God, because God chose it that way. And it's just like, no, for me, if I eliminate that dogma, it just becomes the universe did choose it that way, because to me, the universe is perfect in every way. So everything that's functioning is happening regardless for a reason. So it's a function. So maybe even under that, I guess, idea, you could bring it back also, like, hey, maybe that's part of the program too. I choose, realistically, that's why... On the previous episode, I said I decide to believe in it because maybe there's a little bit of fantasy that I like about it. You know what I mean? More than anything.
I get that.
But I don't think that... I also, like, I wanted to stress that out there because I don't fully believe it 100% either. Like, I also like the spiritualism of just everything, the universe just being, and it being perfect. Yeah, we got to eventually figure out why we're here and what the reasoning is behind that. But the main reason right now, all that matters is that we're just an energy source. And everything is just energy, and it's driving itself on that.
I mean,
whatever happens is just a consequence of that. Which is consciousness to me. Sorry, awareness. Sorry, getting back to that.
My thing is, it's too simple of an explanation. It's way too simple. And it still doesn't explain. It doesn't explain that stain. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't. I mean, I hate to talk about that, but it doesn't explain that. It doesn't explain.
I guess it's a good way to correlate it, though. But
it doesn't explain. Like, look, check it out. Like, for example, like all the wood that's built this structure of this garage that we're in now.
Yeah.
Like, this wood was once a tree. That tree was once a seed, right? That seed once came from another tree. That tree once was once a seed.
Okay.
Which also came from another tree. So we've been programming these trees, right? Like this, the wood here, whoever knows when this shit was built, let's say the 50s or 60s, right? So this tree, these panels obviously are already 60 years old. When the tree was growing, that shit was already 50 years old. So it's like a long thing that just went to just, it's too many steps, and there's too many things that have happened, and there's way too much out there for it to have just been a simulation. It just seems like
it's a cop-out. It's like lazy writing in a movie.
For me, it feels like you're just ignoring everything, and you're just focusing on the right now. Like if you just woke up and the simulation started and everything is already here, that makes sense. But if you go back and you break down the individual things, like not just people and actions, but just the things that are around us. If you break down the metal that goes into this microphone, like all the way back to where it was the ore that they extracted it from the rocks, and then from when it actually got formed in the Earth's crust, you got to go back through all these steps to say we're in a stimulation. I don't know. It just feels like I'm cutting out all those steps, all those processes.
Like,
that's why I can't believe it.
It would just be like just ignoring matter altogether.
It would just be ignoring everything. Yeah.
Right,
I mean, it would just be.
I get it.
For me, it feels like that's one of those.
I guess that's why I had to re-explain it, where it's just like, I think it's just more of a fantasy of mine. I like living in that fantasy.
I like
idealizing.
I want to compare the simulation theory to the Earth is flat, or the Earth is square, or the sun revolves around the Earth. That's that same manner of thinking, in my opinion.
Oh, really?
Yes.
You don't think it's more complex than that?
No, I'm thinking whoever thought of this idea, whoever initially came up with this idea and started spreading this theory, is on the same level as the people who thought the sun revolved around the Earth.
Right. So you think it... I
think it's a very simple explanation.
It's like derivative of
a much more complex
like a myth or storytelling.
Essentially,
I guess.
I think it's a very simple explanation, and not a good one, of a very, very complex system of things and a history that's long told. I mean, you believe in the Big Bang, right? You believe in the universe that's expanding.
I believe in them. Yeah, I believe in them because they're explained in this reality.
And we understand, but we understand that the universe all came from a single point. Right, based on the data that we have, based on the data that has been presented.
Based on data that's been presented to me, right?
Right.
That I can understand.
Based on the data that's been presented to us as just average people.
Right.
Right. So we understand that they've taken a snapshot of the entire universe, hot and cold spots, and they're able to basically reconstruct the universe, and they could see that it's expanding.
Right.
Right. So if they take from its expansion point, when they take the snapshot and just collapse the expansion, they can collapse it down to a single point.
Right.
Right? So this is billions of years ago.
It's like reverse engineering its history, right?
It's like
it's just like just rewinding.
Like, how long has this simulation been going on? Right? I feel like simulation theory
but
just
you can't put the time on it. Yeah, but you can't put time on it, though.
Well, you can't put time on a simulation because a simulation could start at any time and end at any time.
Right, but I even just mean like space-time in comparison to us is nothing. You know what I mean? Like the Big Bang to us is billions of years, but the Big Bang to itself probably already happened and is already done.
It's a second. Yeah, of
course. The universe might not even exist anymore.
Right.
And we still happen to exist in it. You know what I mean? But in terms of just like time, if we're gonna put time on on an epic scale like that, like it's irrelevant.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like, so you would be cutting out all of that. That's how I feel simulation theory is. It just cuts out all of that.
All of that added extra information.
And then it just says we just started and here we are.
You just don't appreciate it as a buffer.
It's not for me. It's just not a good one. I don't really like it. It just doesn't.
We're gonna have to do like top 5 theories because I gotta get like scientific theories that just might be like whoa about human existence, just in general, not necessarily that are like similar to simulation theory, but other things.
We'll definitely get to that on the next episode. Since we've been trying to exit this episode for the last hour or so.
We're not exiting. There's no exit. This episode has us trapped. It's like a episode of the Twilight Zone. You just keep. You live in a. Your mind just lives in a podcast studio forever. You keep waking up to a podcast conversation.
Small town, America.
It can happen anywhere.
On a podcast.
Yeah, exactly. In black and white. Right. Oh man, I love
trying to escape, but can they?
Yeah. See, Twilight Zone was already questioning it. See, that was the beginning of the simulation theory plug for me in my head.
Yeah, no, I feel that.
Fox had it on a good syndication where it would come on only after 12.
Yeah, see, that's popping.
Fucking Fox. They knew it. They knew some of those kids were going to stay up and try to go sneak.
Now you can just watch it on Amazon Prime at any time.
No, yeah. You know, since I work nights, there's a funny story about it. They used to have a TV in the break room at this other place that I used to work. And so my lunch would come around 2 a.m. This was normal. I work nights. 2 a.m. is not, to other people, like, oh my God, 2 a.m. I'm tired. I'm calling it. That's last call for a lot of people at bars, whatever. But for me, it was like, no, 2 a.m. is, it was either a lunch or a first break, but I would go in there and write it. And this is why I knew it. This is why I remembered. I could put a mark on it that it's 2 a.m. Like, I'd go in there, and I don't know what channel it was on, but it would be on basic. Like, they weren't going to get us cable or direct TV for the job. It was a basic break room.
Right.
And right at 2 a.m., Twilight Zone. And just come on. I'm just watching it on break.
That's popping.
To watch it on break at work was just pretty nice, too. They're just sneaking in an episode. This is at a time, too,
especially
when, like,
at that time of night or that early in the morning, it's like...
Since you want to talk about time, I got an even better one. At a time when fucking you can just watch it on a cell phone. Yeah. Like now, it's funny to say that now, and then people are like, what? I already do that. I could watch the Twilight Zone on break at work. I'm like, yeah, man, but this was at a time.
Not on TV.
Yeah, this is at a time when your cell phone could barely pull up a webpage.
See, that's how old Chewy is. He remembers back in the 50s when it was on TV and he had to watch that shit at 2 in the morning.
I've been told that I'm an old soul. Who knows how many fucking lifetimes I've lived to get here, but yeah.
And on that note, we got to wrap up this episode. So
this crazy fucking epic ass episode.
It was a wild
I like it though.
Shroom trip episode for Chewy, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was a little bit shroom trippy, so I was a little bit sloppy maybe. I don't even know if I was that sloppy, but it was fun.
I hope you enjoyed that coffee, motherfucker.
It was good. I'm going to enjoy another cup of it.
All right, so that does it for episode 9 of the We Don't Know Stuff podcast. You can follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and listen to us anywhere you can find podcasts.
That's right.
We got it popping.
Yes, we definitely did.
All right, y'all. Peace.
Shout out to Lions, man.
Get paid.
Late.